Right.
Just try moving this bit.
Right, will you do that? I'm going to run the tiles.
Right, yeah, post. They've gone now.
Oh, right, here we go. That's the other thing. The titles seem very quiet. I don't know why they're so quiet. I'll do that for next week. Job for next week. Hello and welcome to Flory Models. This is Tuesday's Q&A. I don't know if you've been watching us for the last half an hour or so, but if you have, sorry about that. This will tend to be the waffle we do. What we thought we'd do is start it a little bit earlier, purely so we can get rid of any little niggles and problems and we can test things. So we can make sure the audio levels are loud enough and we can make sure that obviously we're streaming, which is what didn't happen on Saturday. Well, it did. We were streaming, just not on our own site, amazingly. And everything else like that. So welcome along to us. Usual things, Tuesday Q&A. Obviously we did a lot of questions and various things at the weekend where me and Steve both did our dolphin helicopters. You can see mine, there's mine there. Mine is still wet, if I'm honest. Mine is tacky. It'll be quite difficult to touch it. It is, it's still tacky to the touch, mine. But there we go, there's me. I got this far. I don't think I untook the white off literally as we came off air. But we had a really good run, didn't we? On Saturday, getting these done. But
yours is a lot more orange than mine. Probably like
don't forget, it could be the lights.
Yeah.
Because yours, when it's in your thing behind you now, looks red. But when you got it out earlier,
I'll bring it out.
It looked orange.
Just take that out a sec.
Quick, talk about him, you can't hear us.
Yeah.
See, now it's orange. Yeah, that seems fine to me. You're not that far off me. Look, hold yours up and I'll hold mine up. As mine sticks to my hand. If you hold yours up as well, look, the viewers at home can see the difference. I don't think there's that much in it.
No.
Wrong
way. Yeah.
But if you do yours in the colour, you know, when it's in the shade, yours is red, which probably mine is as well, but I've only because I've got a million bloody watts of light floating around here. But yeah.
Those who saw my Facebook will know it was too red. So it has had another little coat of paint on it. And it's weird how it was glossy all the way up last night. I had a look this morning and it's gone a bit back satin again. Now I'm thinking it could be because I've been mixing paints.
Yeah, I must admit, because don't forget I put clear red in mine.
Yeah. But you used Tamiya, didn't you? I used Gunsy.
Oh, yeah.
Normal red.
Yeah, good point.
So we're not
I used clear red X27.
Yeah.
But let's face it, considering this is a crap kit, it ain't come out too bad really. I'm quite impressed with it now. I think by the time we get the black on it and the bits and pieces, it's going to look really nice.
Yeah.
It'll bring it to life.
I'm going to give mine I think I'll give it a little polish up. Just get rid of the odd little bit. But yeah, the orange, it definitely looks better than it did.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And mine is still tacky to touch. I've got orange paint on my hands. I did tell everyone it'll take forever to dry. As he drops it, putting it back. So anyway, how bad was the damage after the Saturday show?
Oh.
How bad was the damage after the Saturday show? I'll try again. Hinge and bracket in there. How bad was the damage after the Saturday show then? Did you have a good look at what went bang?
Oh, old stuff of it. Yeah, little bits and pieces. A couple of them have been knocked on floor before. And
right. Nothing that's major then?
No, none of me really recent stuff that's really good I built.
The more dusty ones then?
Yeah, the more expensive, my real ones that I really like tend to go in my cabinet, but I don't need. I need more storage space, to be honest with you. So what I'm going to do is just on this wall, just around the corner, I'm going to put a load of shelving up there.
Right.
Take my pictures down, so I don't know where I'm going to put my pictures.
That's the trouble I have. I've still got a beautiful present from John Buller. Did me a very nice limited edition Jaguar print framed beautiful thing, and I've got nowhere to put it because Mel won't let me put it in the lounge, which is for sport, but it won't fit up here because I've tried it in here as well, and all my other walls I've got shelves on and things, so I've got nowhere actually to put it. So I suggested about having it in the bedroom, but apparently no. So
Well, yeah, but you should have a stairwell or something.
Yeah, but the trouble we have with that is, as you know, our stairwell is quite tight. And
Yeah.
it's bad enough with people knocking them cheap bits that we got on there at the moment, let alone something like that on there. I did think about having it on the back wall, where I've got my picture that I took in Alaska of the glacier. I thought about doing it on that one instead, but again, it doesn't quite fit. It's quite a big picture, only just sort of gets in there.
Can't understand why this will not fit in properly. It's really tight is the fit, and I've tried it all the ways, and it all looks correct, but it's really...
See, I don't remember it. I don't know if it's on my video build.
It's just very, very, try to get it properly in there.
Pass. Right, okay, so being Tuesday, we're here for your questions. We've got a very long one to start with, which is broken down in parts, so I'll make my way through. So this is from Rob Lee. He's only been a member 2 days as well, so well done, Rob, for joining in. Basically, he says, "Hi, Phil and crew. I've been watching you on YouTube for a while now. Love your kit reviews, very handy. Thank you very much. I have a PC from Scan." I have to say Scan now, I can't say the other word because I got told off for that.
Did they tell you off?
No, they didn't, but the company I help out with did, purely because their legal department was like, "You do realise you can get in a lot of trouble for doing that?" I was like, "Right, so?" And they were like, no, I wouldn't do it anymore. And all right, I won't do it anymore. Okay, so anyway, he says, I have a PC from Scan. Only cost me 600 quid though, as it's an i5 4690 4.6 8GB RAM, a Zeus motherboard, which is the X99 Mombo, Aztec 302 case, and he's got the 960 GTX in there. I bought it just under 12 months ago and it's been rock solid, barring a few driver conflicts, but that's the operating system, not the hardware. Can't believe your experience with them. I have to say, yeah, their customer service is probably the worst, I'm sure I can say this without getting in trouble, because it's true, that I have ever dealt with, ever. I've never known a company not to apologise. That's my first problem. Not once did they ever apologise for the system not working. You think they'd say, "Look, really sorry about that, we'll get it fixed." Never had that at all. It must be somewhere in their training they're not allowed to say sorry, because not once did I have "sorry, there's a problem" or anything else like that. My other beef with them is that every time they were supposed to call me back, they never did. And obviously, you know what it's like when I'm doing this. I'm filming, live on airs, things like that. You can't just have people calling in various things. So if you're going to call me at a certain time. Just don't, as and when you want to. But they never called me, so I always had to call them. The one time they called me was only when I got the payment method. I started a dispute with them, and they got in contact with them and withheld their money. Then they're all over me like a rash on that Tuesday. And on last Tuesday's Q&A, as you know, we did it live on air with them when they did call me. That's only after the credit card company got involved with them. Then they're all over me like a rash. But it's been working flawlessly without a single cough, error message, dropout, everything since it's come back. So since Wednesday, it hasn't let me down once. We're using it as we speak. You wait, it'll go now. And it is absolutely fine. We haven't got a problem with it whatsoever. It's been doing all the rendering recently. And then obviously, as you know, I've got into VR recently. I've got the HTC Vive. And it's been doing that non-stop all weekend. Because we've had people over here as well. They've been having a go on it. And it's literally been never been turned off. And it's been working really hard, and it's been absolutely fine. So I have to say, now it's fixed, it's a really good system, and it's working very, very well. But I wouldn't recommend the company, purely because if you do have a problem, their customer support is just terrible, absolutely terrible. So I would probably steer clear of them. If I was to buy again, I wouldn't go back there, put it like that. I'll go to another company, somebody who you can deal with and will give you some answers and get on with it, rather than just sort of being fobbed off all the time. So that's my point to that.
It's one of those things that you spend so much money with basically it's a bespoke computer.
Yeah.
The company, you expect that you're paying that much money, but the customer service, the support should be there just like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's not one of your high street ones or your out of town shopping centre ones. That So yeah, it is disappointing, is that?
Yeah, it was, and I think that's a lot of it was. It was frustration and also disappointed. I was disappointed that we had paid that amount of money, thousands of pounds of money, for something that technically is not working, and they're not being told what's wrong with it. Yet they're telling me, oh, it's this and it's that, and it was a case of, right, well, you fixed this and that, so why are we doing it again? And yet, technically, when it first went back that last Tuesday, when it actually got sent back, is that they told me it was going to have a core component swap out, which means they would take the motherboard out, obviously the processor, everything that's connected to it would come out, okay, and they put a new one in, and that would solve the problem. But they never did that. They tried to fix all the individual components inside, which still never worked. And this one here has had a core component swap out, and now it's come back and it's running fine. Well, why didn't you just do that in the first place? That was my point to it. And as you say, if I paid, let's say, 600 quid, you're thinking, okay, then, you know, various things, and you can almost cut people a break, but not when you're spending that much. That's a bit like having a nasty rattle in your, I don't know, Rolls Royce, isn't it? You're not going to stand for it. You know, if you've got one in your, you know, your 10 grand car, then, you know, it's annoying and you can shout and get them to do it, but you just don't expect it from day one. Anyway, now we're fine and working dandy, so we're okay with that. Okay, anyway.
I've managed to solve what was wrong with my part, so.
Oh, you fixed it. What was wrong with it?
Right. Part D to 18. It fits in beautifully. You think, yeah, I've got it in. There's a circle where the middle bit goes in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's off center. If you get it the wrong way around, it's slightly off center, so it won't fully sink in. So no matter you think you've got it in, because it fits in nicely, this part's slightly off center, so
it won't go.
Yeah.
So was it user error?
Oh, definitely. Oh, you've got to blame the kit, don't you?
I told you that when you were fighting with it. I said it's got to be you.
But it takes so long spotting, though. They never, you know.
No, don't point it out.
I won't be the first one to.
No, definitely not. Okay, guys, I've got a few questions about group builds, post shading, clear coats, and general quality of models, mostly related to 1/48 scale and 1/72 scale. My models seem to look a bit flat and uninteresting. Hold on, let me turn it this way so I can see it a bit better. Hold on. Look a bit flat and uninteresting. I'm quite basic in my builds anyway. I don't like models taking too long from start. As I start to lose interest in them, I find it hard at times to get that crisp looking finish as I see on other people's models, especially when I'm looking at photos. Despite using an airbrush, which is the Harder & Steenbeck Ultra with the 0.2 needle set, and Tamiya thinned with 50/50 with UMP thinners. Model Master or Vallejo Model Air, and occasionally Mr. Hobby Aquatis paints. I exclusively use acrylics as I don't like the idea of using lacquer or enamel based paints. As I paint indoors in the dining room table, and the rest of the house wouldn't be happy with the fumes. And I'm not confident in using hot products, especially where cleanup is concerned. Okay, well, it's a bit difficult when you're saying about having a flat and uninteresting look. I take it what you mean is when you're saying about the sharpness, is things maybe like your paintwork, just the edges of it, and your weathering. Because if it's all sort of fuzzy and that, everything else, it maybe it's just obviously learning the skill set. If you watch through a lot of our videos, obviously have a look at the guys. Sorry, that's the thingy card playing up. Come on. Camera. If you, as I say, have a look through a lot of the video builds, and we talk about obviously doing various weathering techniques and things like that. Obviously have a look at a lot of the members' builds and see how they do it and techniques. And really what you're going to do is learn your way of doing it, because obviously there's, me and Steve have spoken about, we're doing the helicopters at the moment, part of the sort of free live Saturday shows. He does it one way, I do mine the other. There's no right and wrong. It's just, it's different ways, because that's what works best for us. So by us doing it this way is great, because you can see Steve does his airbrushing one way, I do mine completely a different way. Hans as well, he does his even worse than everyone else. He does his completely different way to us too. But as you say, it's one of those things, it's learning what works for you, and you get that effect or look that you're looking through with a certain technique. So it doesn't matter which way you're doing it. So you're talking about using your airbrushing. If you're talking about camo work and things like that, Then if you're talking about freehand camo in 1/48 scale and obviously 1/72, if you're talking, you don't actually mention what type of things you're working on, but if you're looking at aircraft and you're looking at obviously with camo patterns, then obviously the edges, you want to keep them nice and tight. So you might want to go down the route and have a look at some of the builds of using things like white tack. Making up the little sausages, putting them down and then spraying them. That'll give you a sharper line than you will get than if you try and do it by freehand. Again, you can actually go out and buy masking sets as well, which actually have the aircraft camo pattern done, so you can stick that to the aircraft or your armour, or whichever way you want to do it, which will give you a more sharper look to your paintwork, even if it's something quite modern, forgetting things like this, because this is a little bit sort of advanced if you like. But if you're looking at things like when we've done the airliner recently, where is it, with the Dreamliner we use masking tape and we go along, it gives a nice sharp hard edge to it. But if we're doing other types of camos and things like that, you can get in there. So it's not so much, you know, your airbrush and how you're using it, it may be just learning the techniques and getting used to it. Again, you're sort of mentioning about it may be the paints you're using. There's nothing wrong with those paints at all. Tamiya is probably one of the best ones out there for sure. Model Air is obviously very good, and Gun Stuff is lovely. So they are no better than an enamel paint or a lacquer paint. Those done correctly and a nice mix and everything else will give you something very, very nice. But it might be just a thing is go and have a look at the basic airbrushing videos. Shall I try and be slightly clever on this? I don't know how this is going to work, everyone. If I can get my...
Well, say while you're doing that,
yeah.
If you're using Tamiya paints, Mr. Hobby paints, I'd suggest getting some Tamiya thinners.
Yeah.
And also get yourself a little bottle of retarder.
Yeah.
If you're spraying indoors, when it's, especially if it's warm, and it's obviously sometimes warm in a house with central heating on, or in the summer, a little drop of that, you'll get a beautiful, perfectly nice flat, well, level coat paint over your model.
Yeah.
Good thing about using Tamiya thinners is it works with everything. It's not very rare you find somebody done well with, and it especially works well with Tamiya and Mr. Hobby paints.
Yeah,
try up in your ratio as well. I'd maybe even 60-40. That seems to, and do thinner coats. That seems to work as well. But definitely invest in Tamiya thinners.
Yeah, Tamiya thinners, X20A acrylic thinners you want. Very, very nice. Again, if you go over here, if you can see down underneath my screen here, I've got the site up. If you go over to tutorials, click down here in tutorials, that'll take you into here. Okay, and then go off to airbrushing and just click in inside airbrushing. And then this will come up with our basic videos that we've already done down here, which talk about all the different ways. So obviously we talk about airbrushes and how they work and the various bits and pieces. But again, if you look down, we've got various different things. This is just doing grey camo, breaking up, making it look nice. This one down here, we talk about obviously doing combat markings and invasion stripes and stuff like that. Very, very simple. Down here is a little bit more in depth as well about doing camo work. These are on 1/72 stuff, and we do a sort of that the North Africa campaign with the blue underneath and the two-tone sandstone on top. And then obviously we talk about metallizers, but also we've got a couple of other bits, interesting things down here in the tips section, and about spitting and seal sets and everything else. But it might be worth having a quick watch of those. They're about sort of 30 minutes to an hour each one, and you can go through those, and that might help you out just mixing up your paint, because that's what I'm using. I'm using Tamiya paints and all the other bits and pieces in there, rather than you know, complicated paint mixes and stuff like that. It's pretty standard. They're designed for the new modeler to come in and have a go with, and what you're using there is basically what I'm using as well. So you know, all your setup and everything else will be identical to what I did, but a lot of it is just practicing with your airbrush, practicing on busters and, you know, plastic card as well. I don't recommend trying it on paper towel because you'll never get a true reading from that, but if you've got yourself a sheet of plastic card, then just have a go on that and just spray down onto it just to find out the sweet spot, you know, what works well for you. And again, you know, I've got a fan on in here today and everything else. It's warm. Retarders, things like that, they can all help with your paint flow and your smoothness and making it work really well as well. So again, there's so many different variables with airbrushing, but just don't be put off with it. just learning, making your way through, finding out what works well with you, okay, and what works for you is the most important thing. And then when you find that what's working for you, then you can sort of adjust it and just start playing with paint mixes and airbrushes and distance as well. Don't forget, if you're a long way away, everything's going to be fuzzy. Okay, you're not going to have much sharpness. Getting in closer, you can sharpen everything. Just think of airbrushing like a cone. The further you are, the wider everything's going to be. The closer you get, the tighter and sharper everything's going to be. And like the great thing is about it, if you ever run out of paint in your airbrush, you can almost put the needle on the surface of whatever you're doing, and you can put a hair into it because you've got tiniest amount of paint coming through, and it's that type of thing. So you need to back off with the air pressure and the paint that's coming out, and you can get extremely close. That's when you're going to sharpen everything up and put in very fine details and everything else like that. But what you've got there in your setup, there's nothing wrong with any of that. I think it's just something that's going to come with a little bit of practice. He also goes on to say, how exactly do the group builds go? I've seen them all over the place on the web, but don't really understand the concept. Same thing with SIGs. Okay, well, I can only talk from our point of view. Group builds are literally a 6-month build. We have 2 every year. And what happens is that we pick a theme. So at the moment we've got the Big in Japan one, which basically means anything that's Japanese related, i.e. it's manufactured, it's in Japanese use, okay, or it's in Japanese culture. So we've got things like Gundam and, you know, futuristic things and sci-fi anime and all of that, but it has to be Japanese based, okay? And the same is you could do like a Zero, World War II Zero, or you could do like a Mitsubishi F1 or whatever you want to do, right the way through to a car like a Nissan or anything, or Toyota, anything that's Japanese. Now the whole point of these is that it's a common area where everybody is building the same thing. Okay, so we're all building that exact same line, and what you might find is you're going to get an overlap, okay, and that's where it comes in quite nice, because if you've got somebody else who's building the same as you can work together. Okay, so if you're a newbie, perhaps the guy who's a little bit more experienced or has been doing this a long time can give you some help about building it. So in his build thread, which is what you're going to have as well, you can list everything you're doing and any problems you might have with that particular build. So let's assume you're building a Zero plane, for instance. You would start a build thread in the forum, which has a specific area for group builds. That will go in there. You'll pop in there, and basically what happens is you'll start a build thread. So what we need from you is a photo of the box. We need a photo of all your sprues laid out so we know you haven't started on it, and then usually your instructions and any aftermarket if you are going to use it, but you're more than welcome to build it just out of the box. Okay, and then you do a build thread. So the build thread will have various things if you go off and have a look at them, but it normally is the guys as they make their way along. We're not expecting you to do a video build or anything else like that, but you might say, well look, okay, I've started on and now I'm doing the wheels. All right, so from my point of view, I've just finished doing the wheels down here. So I might just take a photo with them all laid out, literally like this, and say a couple of words about your build. So you might just come in and say, right, that's all the wheels done, no real problems with it, went together a dream. Or if you found out you had problems, you could point that out and say that you might want to be careful because this doesn't fit in here, or really these could do with some polycaps in them, because technically they should, okay, or something else like that, because when they fit on here, they're really slack and loose. Okay, what this basically does is enable other people who might come along in the future or at the same time to see your work and learn from you, because they've seen that there's a mistake there that needs to be fixed or there's a problem with it, and that's what it is. So generally it's a community effort of everybody building roughly the same thing but working together for the common goal of improving everybody's modelling. It's a social thing as well, helping each other out and everything else like that. So that's the whole point of a group build. It's basically everyone coming together, having a common group of model kits that you're doing, and everyone can help each other out and stuff like that. And really that's it. SIGs, which are special interest group, you know, SIG, that is basically a similar type of thing. We don't do prizes for those, admittedly, but we have normally sort of 4 or 5 of those a year, and what those are is more of a specific area. So instead of doing like we're doing Japanese culture basically at the moment, it may be a tank. So at the moment we've got one going on at the moment, which is Best of British Heavy Metal. So basically it's all about British armour. So it has to be a tank that is served in the British Army, okay, and that's it. We might do one even more specific. You could say, okay, chieftain tanks. We're never normally that specific because we want as many people to take part in them as possible. So we tend to make it a little bit more general so you come in. But we have done in the past, we've done ones on specific types of aircraft, armour, whatever. Okay, so they're very tight, but a SIG is a specific, thing. Okay, where a group build tends to be anybody can join it. So it doesn't matter if you're an armour guy, you're an aircraft guy, you're a naval guy, a civilian guy, or whatever it is, sci-fi, figure painting, you can join in with it. And that's the whole point. But that's what we do it. And then obviously, I haven't got one to hand, but we give away for everybody who takes part, if you're a member of Flory Models and you obviously have a qualifying build, which basically means you've done a full photo build of it, you'll get a medal. We've done sticker sets, we've given away sanders, we've given away, well, we gave away best part of £3,000 worth of gear this year for the last one that's just finished. Okay, so from that point of view, it's well worth taking part because you get a little something out of it. You'll get the proper medal in a case, which is all engraved and everything, the sanders, the sticker sets, and all the other bits and pieces we give away. So generally, it's a way of just bringing everyone together. In a nutshell, do you think that's probably the way to sum it up?
It is, yeah. And also, it's a good way of encouraging you to build something you wouldn't normally build.
Yeah.
Which
Definitely.
is really good as well. You might not think of building a British tank or some British armour, but because of it, you think, oh, I might join that and go out, find a kit and join. So that's good as well. So it just keeps everything you're modelling fresh.
Yeah, definitely. I think I really enjoy doing it. My only thing is because everything we do, and I get stuck into big builds like this, sometimes I don't have enough time to do them. But to be honest, for the Big in Japan one, I've got 2 builds lined up for it. I've got a Gundam kit, never built one in my life, so I've got a big one over there to do, and I'm going to do the Mitsubishi F1 because it's in a wraparound camo and all the rest of it. I think that'd be a really nice one to do. So I've got 2 of those to do. And to be honest, this chieftain down here is for the SIG that we got going on at the moment for the armour build. So that's how I try and do something around it. It doesn't always work, but again, it's something where I might not build a chieftain. I was lucky enough a couple of years ago now to drive one of these things around for the day, and I've always fancied having one just to, for the memory of doing it. But this is a perfect excuse now to build it, whereas before might not have ever got round to it. So from that point of view, it's really nice.
And I've never built a Gundam kit before. Always wanted to, and there he is.
That's it, and there he is now, and he's done.
Well, yeah,
All beans.
He's nearly done. I reckon it looks pretty.
I think he looks stunning, mate. You've done a cracking job on that.
I think the winter camo's worked out well, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
Something a bit. You don't usually see him in winter camo, look.
No, and it's the same for mine because mine's not going to look like the box art or anybody else's Gundam, as far as I know. So, okay. Next question he's got in there is that I've tried the Flory Models Dark Dirt Wash, but I found I can't remove it in the way that Phil seems to do it. I'm either making my rag too wet, or the wash is too stubborn and won't shift. Is there a post-shading panel line method that I can just spray all over an all-over coat in the same way? I should get a base coat, something very quick and easy that will cover only then darken the recesses and not leave something on the raised areas that I have to go back and touch up or remove. My airbrush skills haven't progressed to where I can fine detail the work, such as spraying over tiny panel lines. I'm basically a large area sprayer or masking entire areas off my model area and spray kind of airbrusher. Right, okay, well, it sounds like you're making your cloth too wet and you're obviously taking it all off, and if you're not getting it all off at all, it might be the surface you're on. Like on this, we did this one over just normal paint, so it's flat paint. You can get it all off. This stuff doesn't eat into paint, it just sits on the surface, but it depends on your surface. What I would highly recommend is popping down a gloss coat. Okay, so if you pop down a gloss coat right the way over your model, let that cure totally for a couple of days to go off and go hard, then put the wash over it and then lightly rub it all off. Okay, you don't have to scrub it will just fall off. Okay, a couple other things as well. If you're not getting the wash off the way you want, use a sponge. Okay, so if you use a sponge, hydrate it with warm water, lightly rub over it, you will notice the wash will just turn into a liquid and fall off. Okay, because that's what it's actually doing. So from that point of view, you shouldn't really have any problems. Anything else on the market, not that as easy to use. Obviously, you've got things like Tamiya panel line Accenter, I think they call it. Is that what they call it? I can't remember, something like that. Which is basically a glorified enamel wash. Which basically is, you can make up obviously enamel washes as well, but the thing is with those things, when they're on, they will stick and weld on. So you're going to have to come in there with a form of thinners, like enamel thinners or something else, to get it off. They're not as straightforward as ours that just go on and wipe away. So from that point of view, again, have a look at some of the video builds we've got up there. Have a look at the ones on the site rather than YouTube ones, because to be honest, YouTube ones tend to be really old. But if you look at, like for instance, go and have a look at the one we did for the 190 and the one that we actually did on the, where is it, the Halifax, one of the last two, because again, they show different ways of taking it off. You can take the wash off and sand it off. To give different weathering effects and textures and everything else, and that's what we did on this guy down here to get this weathered effect under here. That's purely the wash, and then in the middle we've got a little bit of oil streaking, which is nicely drying back now and giving us a very nice effect down there. But generally the whole point of the wash is to sort of bring out depth in your paintwork, to make your paintwork and everything look grimy and everything else like that. But again, it could be something that comes with just a little bit of time. Third part of the question.
Well, say, Phil, you can also, with the wash, if you dilute it a little bit, just add a little bit of water and then apply it, because then you'll find it goes down the panel lines. You can just put it straight on there, down the finer detail. Yeah. And also, what I've found, you can also add a teeny bit. You only need a teeny bit to your paint.
Yeah.
And that works a treat. Your paint needs to be really thin, thin, about 70% thinner to paint, and then just add a tiny bit, and it kind of grimes up your paint without changing the colour too much.
Yeah, that's right. You can sort of use it as a sort of modulation to change the colour of the paint. If you put grime into it especially is a good colour, and dark dirt, you can get that grimy look to your paintwork without actually having to do anything. The other thing as well I'd highly recommend is, if you get some of our wash, if you got it, add a little bit of airbrush cleaner, acrylic airbrush cleaner. If you've got Vallejo airbrush cleaner, it works exceptionally well. And then what you can actually do is brush paint it right the way of your model and then leave it. Because it's thinned, the capillary action will run off and it will gather in around bolt areas and in recesses. But when it's on a flat area, you will hardly see it. And it's a good, quick and easy way. To be honest, I might end up doing it on the armour, because we need it to get in amongst everything to give shadows and depth and various things like that. And it'd be a quick and easy way. So all you do is thin the actual, like if you're using the Flory Models wash, if you thin it probably 20% with acrylic airbrush cleaner, and it will be bubbly and it will just help it flow. And when you put it on, it will just disappear everywhere. It zips off to all the recesses, clings to all the bolts, and you won't actually have to touch it again. But you don't want to be brushing around with it too hard, because you get bubbles and you get bubble rings on it. But you can just literally put it all over everything. Nice gentle soft brush and just lay it all over it. Nice smooth coat of it. Don't be precise, go absolutely everywhere with it, and then just walk away and leave it. And that's it, and that's all you have to do to it.
Well, say, Phil, have you mixed your wash with plaster yet, and then used it as mud splats? That's brilliant.
Yeah,
it
goes
goes
really
really
well like
effective. That. But then I do find though that because it like the actual plaster will lighten the wash. So if you do that and then spray it afterwards, really well. Especially if you do kind of mix dark dirt and plaster, put that on, and then use a bit of grime over the top. So then you get different colours building up, different shades, so it looks really realistic then.
Yeah, very good. I must admit, I was planning on doing something like that. If I do a base for this tank, I would like to do a little base for it, because I think they look better on bases. So I was thinking about something like that, some sort of mud splats up it.
Are you doing the Berlin scheme?
I am. You
want to do a kind of a streety scene then, don't you?
Yeah. Some more dusty type of look to it.
Well, maybe. I'll tell you what would work. That you get a base, use that Rust-Oleum.
Yes.
Spray that as your tarmac. Spray it, obviously the correct black colour, so you've got your texture and all that. And then you could put a bit of grass or something, so it's kind of like a country road with a bit of a verge, and then you've got your dirt coming up, dust of the dirt coming over the road. That'd look good.
Cool. Very good. Yeah, no, definitely. We'll do something like that. I might actually get around to doing that if we get the time. Okay, so I'm also on a very tight budget. So there's an equally cheap. Sorry, I'll start again. I'm on a very tight budget. So is there an equally cheap alternative to clear? The bottle I have has the blue cap, the blue top one that recently changed the formula. I don't find it to be working very well for me. I had it orange peel on me on a recent car build. Could have been my humid weather, and on a recent Huey build, it made the windscreen look horrible. With what looked like some sort of water stains you get on stainless steel sinks, and generally looked like a thick clear paint had been applied. It was even yellowing in some cases. I've tried Winter & Newton, what was that, Gallia gloss, thin 70% with water, but it takes ages to dry. It has recently stayed tacky for days, or just doesn't seem to make the surface particularly shiny. The thing is, clear was always the cheap alternative to everything else. You can still get this version, but it's not cheap because you need to bring it in from America, which I still haven't tried yet. I really must get around to doing this, because this is the original version of it, which is available in the US, blue top. You can get it via Amazon, so this is where this came from. The UK one is this milky version of it, and they've repotted it now 3 times, but it's the same thing inside. But this is the original version, which is definitely a little bit thicker than the UK milky version. It's supposed to be a lot more shiny and everything else. But the thing is, this was only going to be a gloss. It's a gloss spray. I wouldn't spray it onto clear parts, because you're always never going to get it as clear as gloss as you can if you were dipping. If you were dipping, then you'll get a clear glass look. If you're spraying it, you're always going to get that sort of, edge to it, purely because it doesn't adhere and self-level. It sort of sticks on and that's it. Okay, so from that point of view, you could obviously try brushing it on, but again, on clear parts, you're better off dipping it, putting it under a cover, letting it dry totally and everything else like that, from just spraying it right over the top of everything. You're better off just to mask that so it's protected and then worry about it afterwards. But a cheap version of it, to be honest, that's what that is. It's just a cheap way of glossing. But as we've spoken about before, you can go out and buy glosses. As you say, you're talking about the artist ones there, which are probably going to be quite expensive, but they're still not designed for what we're using them for, as in airbrushing them on. Because if your airbrush is a little bit high, you're going to get that sort of etched surface look to it, because you're not going to get the glass look to it that perhaps you want with a proper gloss finish. If you're going something in like when I did the Ducati bike, go and have a look at that. We used 2-pack lacquer. That'll give you glass. When we did the airliner, again, have a look at that. We used 2-pack lacquer, glass, and it goes rock hard in 20 minutes. Okay, but that's because it's a chemical reaction going on. It stinks, it's horrible, it's not nice for you either. But that is your cheap alternative. There's not a cheaper alternative to clear really at the end of the day. Well, not that I'm aware of. But some days, a cheap alternative isn't your best bet anyway. That's what I always say.
I've got to say, another alternative, I've just got some. You can always use RAL can.
Yeah.
Because this has got to be for me snow. I needed to get some for outlet that snow. But you could try that.
Yeah.
Getting on with other stuff. But we're clear on your models. Like I'd never put it on. I stopped putting it on clear parts. Especially windscreens, canopies. I prefer just to polish them.
Yeah, well, that's what I do.
Mask them up. But also with clear, you can brush it on. If you use quite a wide bristle brush, make sure the bristles are really soft, and it does brush on really, really well. As long as you avoid runs, just do that. Try doing that. You don't have to think that you're clear, you've got an airbrush, use that all the time. Sometimes it does work, just brushing it on.
Brush it on, yeah. And we've done that before. Don't forget, if you want to go back in time, actually 4 years, it's the first build we did in this studio, go and have a look at the Hawk. Because the Hawk, Red Arrow's Hawk, we actually hand painted clear on that, and we actually brush painted the entire thing, and gave a beautiful glass finish to it. But again, I wouldn't recommend it on clear parts. It's not. I think it's more hassle than it's worth. Personally, I'm with Steve. I polish mine now to give a clear look. Sometimes, to be honest, I don't think it's too bad. It's not as bad as I first saw it. But the canopy on this Revel 190 isn't the best canopy in the world. But I don't think it would have been any better if I had dipped it. It's still going to be a little bit wonky in that, but having it sort of covered over like this, having this sort of maintenance look to it, it's not too much of a problem. But if you have something with a nice, like an F16 with a bulbous canopy that needs to be clear and everything else like that, I would prefer to polish it, and then that way you don't have to worry about masking over it and peeling and getting fingerprints or things stuck in the gloss work and everything else like that.
You used it on your Tucano as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. We did it on Tucano. God, you got a good memory.
Yeah.
5 years ago now, I think that one.
Yeah.
Okay, he puts also recent use of Winsor & Newton Galea, I presume it's Galea, matte varnish, thin 20% with water on my 148 Huey. I seem to have got a chalky gritty on the surface despite coats being put down rather wet. How can I avoid this? That's purely build-up. Your thinning technique isn't enough. Again, you're using this matte varnish. Chances are it's designed for hand painting. When you airbrush things, everything gets lighter, including clears. Okay, so what happens is, we're all guilty of it. If you put too much matte into your airbrushing, and it's not thinned enough, and I would have thought 20% is no way enough to thin it properly. It's got too much product in it, and that flat stuff is what makes texture, which gives you the flat look. Because don't forget, quick thing here, if it's like glass and like a gloss, there's no texture into it. The light is just bouncing off, yeah? And that's what gives you your shiny look. So if you're doing your sort of glossy things, so we got this guy down on here and he's looking quite glossy. This is because it's a very shiny surface, so light just bounces off of this, no problem at all, all right? But as soon as you add some type of key to it, as in you've put in a texture or a sort of microscopic rough surface onto it, the light isn't just bouncing off and reflecting off, it's being absorbed into the surface, and that's what it is. When you're talking flats, what you are making under a microscopic level is a mountain range. So the light isn't just bouncing off, it's getting caught and it's bouncing around everything else, and that's what it is. So what happens is that this product you're using, all it's doing is putting texture onto the surface to make it flat. So if you put too much texture down, it builds up on top of each other and we get the sandpaper effect, and then you get the white chalkiness look to it. And a lot of people have this trouble. What I would recommend is thinning that probably 50-50, okay? Long distance away, very light dusty coat, stop, and let it dry, and that will do it in one. Instead of being wet looking and building it up, you want it to look, you know, like a flat surface is just rough texture. So if you can get away with it 2 coats, 3 coats, it'll be dead flat and nothing, no light will ever bounce off of it ever again. You'll get no reflections. But if you've got it where it's looking rather wet, that is guaranteed too much going down put onto it. But again, it's all a learning curve. Let's face it, we all did it with was it X21 flat base, which is this white chalky stuff that people thinks is a flat coat. It's not. It's this stuff in the maximum consistency, and it's literally like chalk, and everyone's painted their model white with it. I did it. I think everybody's done it over at some point. But again, it's that thing, learning about it, knowing your product. But for a matte varnish, I would use that 50-50, 2 foot away, air pressure, maximum, dusty coat put down onto it, and then that's it, just a small dusty coat. Have a look, let it dry, and then look at it. If you're still getting high shine on it, something reflective, then come back and give it another coat afterwards. But all the time you're building it up very quickly and going round, when all that, you know, technically the carrier, which is going to be water in the case, evaporates away, you're left with that snow effect left behind, and that's the trouble with that one. So there we go. I hope that answered all your questions.
Yeah, what I'd say is put it to what that Winsor & Newton matte varnish to one side and go out and buy Tamiya XF86, is it?
Yeah.
They're varnished, because you treat it just like any normal paint.
50-50 mix, or
yeah,
40-60.
Just think it's Tamiya paint, and it gives the best matte finish.
Yeah,
He's had
definitely.
it on. If you look how flat that is, he's had it on.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to apply.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing I haven't done to my thing yet, this hasn't had any top coat whatsoever. This is still technically paint and wash. It hasn't had anything there at all, but I'm quite liking the, I don't know, the look of it. It's where we've sanded the paint to give it that sort of edgy look, but it's the one thing I'm thinking, does it need one? And I'm thinking, nah, it'll be alright, it'll be fine.
Well, that's, yeah.
So yeah, I must admit, I was thinking about it, and I thought, no, we're going to leave it. And to be honest, I haven't done it on the last couple of my models for some reason. Okay, so Kevin Smith says, hi Phil and Steve. First, please keep the daily vlogs. I'll get back to them tomorrow because obviously yesterday weren't here. Today me and Steve were doing this and I was out this morning, but I will be back to doing them tomorrow. Format that you've developed. Some members can get uptight about your experiences with your computer is beyond me. A computer has become much part of the modelling as paint and plastic, if not, and if not there would be no Flory models. That's a good point actually. Simply sharing your experiences with fault products is no different from pointing out faults on a particular kit. Taking your friends, be it over the internet, talking to your friends, be it over the internet, is ordinary conversation between mates, and that encompasses all aspects of the hobby. End of rant, leading to question. Will the choice for the next group build be posted before Telford, so we can look for bargains to suit? Kevin. Yeah, we're going to have a meeting, aren't we?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, this
week, next week.
Yeah,
whenever.
September. Definitely be
definitely before that. We'll have something sorted out. But as I said, the thing is, what we spoke about this in the team area. We don't like to put it up too early because it sort of detracts from what's going on at the moment. Because if we put it up too early, everyone's like, oh, I'm going to do this and do that, and we've got group builds on the go, and people sort of lose interest in them. So that's why we always tend to put them up later. But yeah, we could probably, I don't know, start talking about it in November for the first two for next year, so you can get a good idea, and you've got a couple of months to get in kits and various things. But at the moment, thanks for all your ideas. We're going to be looking at all of those, and we'll go through it, and we'll do a little bit of a short list, and we'll whittle it down to a couple of group builds and some SIGs and for next year.
Yeah, I did post up on that thread. It's good because it's given us an idea of the sort of direction you guys want to go. But we just don't want people getting all, well, you never chose my idea, it was better than so-and-so. It's just more of giving us ideas.
Yes.
And a direction to go in. That's what it's all for.
Definitely. It just gives us a feel for what's on. As I say, before we've done polls, and we've whittled it down, and it's taken forever, and everyone gets upset because theirs didn't get picked or whatever. So now we tend to leave it with us. We are quite good at this. I think obviously the group builds we've done this year have been very good. We've had the best success rate, that's for certain. Okay, so Ian says, hope you're all well and enjoying your long weekend. In North America, this weekend coming is our long weekend. Some think it is the end of summer. Well, the nights are definitely drawn in. It was dark by 8:30 last night. 3 quick questions, I hope. Today, if I might. 1. Working on the new tool Airfix 172nd Hawk Mark 1. It is going to be the kit of 100 squadron markings in gloss black. I plan to use Tamiya X1 gloss black. Would it be better to thin the black with Tamiya's lacquer thinner 50/50 or with X20 A50 thinner with a few drops of retarder to give it a nice smooth black finish? I would go, to be honest, with X20 with a bit of retarder, because their Tamiya lacquer thinners isn't like self-leveling thinners, I don't think. No. Their lacquer thinners is just literally lacquer thinners. I don't think there's anything like a self-leveling thinner in it. It doesn't work the same as the gun self-leveling thinners, that's for certain. To be honest, it's really hard to get that in the UK actually. For some reason they don't bring lacquer thinners in. Enamel thinners with the blue top, no problem. But if you want the buff top, which is lacquer thinners, it's a little bit hit and miss. But if I was to do it, I would use X1 with a couple of drops of retarder in there just to make it, slow it down a little bit, let it self-level, and again, like I sprayed the helicopter, big heavy coats, get it wet, get it going, and it'll be fine. Will Sid be making an appearance on either of the Tuesday Q&As or the Tuesday live show or a Saturday build a long show? Oh, Saturday build long show. I'm sure many of us will not recognise the new what? Svelte Sid. Is he? I don't know. I was out with him a couple of weeks ago. I went out to dinner with him and his wife to be. As I say, the thing is, he's getting married in October, and he's up to his neck in overtime to pay for it. You know what these women are like personally? You could just get married dirt cheap and just have a piss up, but oh no, they're having a proper wedding. So unfortunately, Sid being under the thumb is having to work a lot at the moment. He does apologise, and actually I was speaking to him on Friday. He texted me on Friday and we were having a bit of a chat, and he did say he apologised, and he's going to try and make it for not this Tuesday, obviously today, but next Tuesday will be our Tuesday live show. So he's going to try and make it for that one. So hopefully you can get Sid. I'm going to have to give him a badge, aren't I? Little badge, say I'm Sid. For everybody who doesn't know, because I don't think he's actually been on this year, which isn't a bad record considering we're now in like almost September.
I can't remember when he was last on.
No, I don't think he's actually been on this year, so we'll try and get him back on. But as I say, he does apologise, he's just working hard, but he did say to me he was going to be building this week, so look out, you might find him in the forum. When will the next North American Saturday build along show be?
Yeah, later one. Whenever. It's up to Mel.
Yeah,
basically.
Speak to the boss, because don't forget that one will be. What time did we do that one? That's Sunday morning, didn't we do that one really early?
No. Let's have a look at my thing.
You've got all the little time zones on yours.
Oh, well, my stuff's getting dispatched as well. Oh,
what you've been buying now then?
I'm getting. Gradually building up. I want to build me. Want the 32nd Harrier GR7.
Oh right, I've got that kit. Yeah. What, the Trumpy one?
Yeah, the Trumpy one. You haven't got the GR7.
I have.
Oh, you have? Oh, because I bought my one off you years ago. Just after it came out, you put it up on the form and I bought it off you.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I'm sure I've got another one.
Oh, you might have.
I can't see it, that's the whole point. So I'm thinking perhaps you did have it. I might have gone upstairs. So
right.
The other...
Okay, it's currently 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
In Los Angeles, and it's 10 o'clock in New York. So really, we've been looking at starting about now, won't we?
Yeah.
And that's for New York, and then you just have to get up early in LA, or it'd be an evening.
So does this mean we have to then start at Saturday afternoon at around about 3ish then, if we're saying?
3, 4 o'clock.
Last year? I can't remember.
I think it were a bit earlier.
Is it? I can't remember now.
No, I can't. But that's really what you'd be. So you could turn it into a kind of a breakfast show for the West Coast, lunch for the
we could do
brunch.
That.
Yeah.
Brunch one.
Yeah.
Right, okay. We will sort something out. We'll get another one sorted out. I know a lot of the Australian guys have said, no, leave it as it is, because for them, they get the Saturday show, don't they, as their evening one, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So for them, they were saying, yeah, no, it's all right, 6 o'clock at night, that's fine. So
I've just planted 5 trees in Madagascar.
Have you?
Yeah, apparently.
And how did you manage that?
You know, I'll tell you about that new Australian company called Go, who do they do SD cards.
That's right.
Apparently, because I bought a card off them, I planted 5 trees in Madagascar, so the money goes to their campaign for that.
Oh, do we get to go out there and visit these said trees? Do you have a little plaque on them?
Yeah, I want a plaque. I want to know where they are. I've got 5 trees. As if somebody's just gone out and planted 5 trees on my behalf. Well, they will do eventually.
It. Well, I hope they have.
But you feel right, good that you've done your bit, haven't you?
That's it.
I must admit I didn't do it on purpose, you know.
I must admit years, and this is going back some years now, when the kids were really young, I got talked into buying so many acres of a rainforest for charity thing, you know?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was now. It's one of these big things where if you donated so much money, you like owned so many acres, but the kids were convinced we could go. So we don't actually own it. You can't like go there and build a house. It doesn't work like that, you know?
Well, it's like one, innit, where pay 200 quid or something stupid and we'll sell you a bit of, you know, a centimetre square patch of Scotland and you can become Lord and Lady so-and-so of blah, 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 and it's a square centimetre, which means nothing.
No,
absolutely nothing.
No.
And people, you know, spend all money on it.
Well, it's a bit like when people bought a bit of the moon, wasn't it? Do you remember they were giving like, you could buy like a square mile of the moon, and they were saying, right, so if they suddenly find minerals up there, does that mean I'm like in the money?
Yeah.
Yeah, they suddenly find like unatamian up there or something. Do I get the money for it? Do I L?
No.
But no, the kids, it was the girls, and they were like, "Oh, Daddy, we got to do this." I think it was like something like 200 quid, and it was so many acres of a rainforest. And then they were convinced we were going to go there on holiday, and it's like, no, it doesn't actually work like that. I'm sure the Brazilian government aren't going to allow me to build my house on it.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's stupid, isn't it?
Bless them. Right, Chris says the levels are good. Thank you. David Hunter says the levels are fine. As you say, Steve is a little bit louder. Yeah, it's a bit weird. Steve comes in via a different way. Steve's on Skype. Technically, the way this is working, me and Steve are having a Skype call, but instead of him appearing in a Skype box, I've got a copy coming over into this broadcasting unit. So that's what it is. But his audio feed, and this is where it gets confusing, is coming in two ways. I get a version of it, he gets a version of me, which is just Skype, but also we get two versions where you're getting one and you're getting Steve as well. But I've got technically a bar I can turn him up and down on, but it's a little bit hit and miss, so it's probably better to leave him as he is. But we can tweak things like this over it, so thank you very much, guys, for helping us out with that.
I can turn my mic volume down if you want.
Well, alright, try your microphone, Jan, just a touch.
You still roast that? Has that gone down a bit?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Alright, try that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, where were we? Okay, so Chris comes back and says, Phil, you've been talking about getting an iPad Pro. I've had mine for nearly a year now and love it. It's a bit bulky at first, but you get used to it, and has what I need. It's perfect. Cheers from Oz. Late night for me, making history. What's that? Oh, marking history essays. Oh no, he's a teacher. Now we're in trouble. Right, okay, I might have to get one because Liam's been banging on to me about it as well. He's like, oh, you got to get one. And I was like, well, yeah. As I say, this is bloody expensive.
Well, I just checked. We'll see when next iPad's due out.
Well, this is what he said to me yesterday. To be really honest, we had this very conversation yesterday, and he said to me, you're going to get one there? So I don't know, I just spent a fortune on computers. And he was like, oh, go on. And it was like, but it would be handy for me to have it because I would have it here and I could do a lot of work on it as well. It's not like I would just have it for like watching YouTube, but it would be handy to have it so I wouldn't have to do this. Because Mel's one is a typical girly iPad. Yeah. Not only is it in like pink case with fluffy bits, but also she's got about 8 million tabs open and she's got every app there is available. So it's a nightmare trying to navigate her one.
This will be the iPad Air 2, they reckon, still.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. iPad released it.
Because I have got trouble, because my phone, technical is crap. I can't hear anyone when they talk to me on my phone, but if I go loudspeaker or plug the headset in, I can hear people. But I'm due for an upgrade next month, so I'm going to hold off and just wait for the iPhone 7.
Yeah, well, they reckon, which is expected on September the 7th.
Right, so I'm going to hold out. Have to use this when I talk to people on it.
Yeah, there could be an iPad Pro 2 out at the same time or at the beginning of next year.
Oh. See, that's the thing. Do you hold out and wait?
I would.
And then it'll be solid.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, perhaps I will then.
Yeah.
But I do, I know everyone. You're either going to get the people you love or hate Apple products, but I am quite out. I've had an iPhone now since the iPhone 4. And I must admit, I do love it. I don't have an Apple Watch though. I'm not that bad. I like a bit of metal and chunk on me, so. But there we go. Ken says I can hear you both fine. The level is right since it's 5:45 a.m. and the wife is asleep. That's right. We were saying about earlier. Okay, Eric. He says good afternoon, Phil and Steve. I've had a go myself. I've got myself into it now. I've just started researching the A10. Like both, I want to tackle the Trumpeter 132nd kit. Is it really that dog of a kit? It seems it has a lot of fish issues. It does. Everybody I know who has built that has come away going, God, it was horrible, it was crap. I don't know why we're letting ourselves into this. We could all just build the Hobby Boss one. Phil, are you going to do a kit review on the Trumpeter A-10? Do you know what? I thought I'd done it until the other week when I did the kit. I went through the kit reviews and I can't find it. but I thought I'd actually done a kit review on it. I've had that kit here for years. But yes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get hold of some of the aftermarket stuff before you lot all do. And I want to get hold of a few bits and pieces because I'm planning on upgrading the cockpit. Because as some as you know, I can be really flash here. You see, I've got this. I can unscrew it instead of having to bring the entire thing. Hold on. I've got one of these, which is, I'll put this on here. Gonna work? Nope, too close. Hold on. I'll try a different camera. So this is the control stick off my Thrustmaster Warthog A-10C controller that I do for flight simming, and it's solid metal. This thing is horrendous. It is stupid. It's solid metal, but what it is, it's the stick out of an F-16C. So you've got all your buttons, 2-stage trigger, and all your bits and pieces and your hats and everything. It's all metal as well. It's absolutely gorgeous, this thing, but it weighs an absolute ton. So for references, I'm set between that and me flying DCS. So my plan is to upgrade mine to an A10C by putting into it, because it has the throttle quadrant is out of a F15E. That's the quadrant set it uses for it, because it's got all like the HOTAS system, hands on throttle and stick. So it's got all of that in there, and I've got them both. So we're okay. I've got a few references like that. Yeah, that's my plan. What I will do is I'll probably get the aftermarket bits in, so give me a couple of weeks and then I'll review the entire thing as one. So I'll do very much like we did the 190, so I'll review the kit for it with all the aftermarket as well, and can go through what's available for it. Because between Steve as well, because I know Steve's got a lot for yours already, haven't you?
I've got the gun barrel set, I believe, some decals, the True Details cockpit set, and the big head set for mine.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I've seen a really nice Hans posted up some engines, you know, the intakes and exhausts.
Yes.
Some resin ones, and they look nice. Come from America.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind a set of them.
Yeah.
But again,
a lot of the troubles with that kit is if you're going to have it all open, it's not so much of a problem. Let's face it. The way you have to imagine the way that kit goes is you've got the fuselage is actually in 4 bits. You've got the front end, you've got the midsection with the wings and everything, you've got the mid and the tail, and it all has to go. So you not only have you got obviously 2 halves going together, but you've got seams of, like, you know, of it all going through, and then you've got to plug the wings in, and it's very modular like that. And apparently to try and get it all to line up, it's a complete nightmare. And as I say, I know 3 people now who have built it, and all of them have said they would never do it again, and they don't recommend it at all because it is a complete sod. And like, the recommendation is, if you're going to build it, is to literally don't worry about it, just get it together as a whole, sand, fill, make sure all your seams are perfect, and then go back in and rescribe and reboot it, because otherwise you're just in a world of hurt. And I've had various people say put all the halves together and get all them in, so the entire fuselage, and then have one big sandwich job where the entire thing goes together, and do it that way. And I've had other people say, oh, do it each section and then go ahead and just put them in. But I really think it's one of those kits where you'll build one, I'll build one, and Steve will, and we're all going to find faults in our own areas. We're all going to have things that will work for us, we'll do other areas. So yeah, to be honest, like me and Steve even doing the Dolphin, wasn't it? You had trouble at the front end, yeah, I didn't. I had trouble with the windscreen going together, but Steve didn't. So I reckon it's going to be one of those kits where everybody's going to find a fault with it, and it's going to be a bit difficult to get it all together, you know? But it should be a lot of fun, though. I'm thinking it'll be quite a good laugh. It'll be definitely the biggest group builders in size of kits all done.
Good, yeah.
It'll make Telford interesting the year after. We'll have to have a warthog pen. We'll have a table just with hogs on it.
Yeah. God, it's got to be.
We could do that. I wonder if we
fill
could
it between us, me and you.
Yeah, well, I've got other ones up there. Don't forget, I've got the 48th one built above me. So I'm just thinking that if we could get a SIG done, I wonder if the IPMS will let us have a hog pen next to us, and we get a free table just for all the hogs sat on it.
Yeah. Hog heaven.
Hog heaven. Yeah, that's it. We'll be in there. Yeah. But yeah, give us a couple of weeks. I'll get all the aftermarket bits in that I'm planning on doing it for it, and all the bits and pieces, and then I'll review everything as a giant big review on all the bits and pieces.
So what are you thinking again for yours then, Phil?
I was going to get obviously the aftermarket cockpit set for it, purely because I don't know how good the cockpit is in it, but I'm thinking it would be easier to convert a resin one than it would a plastic one.
Yeah, because I know mine came from America. Luckily somebody bought it for me.
So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to get the who does it?
If you just
it's not the black box one, is it? It's the other one, is it?
True Details.
True Detail do the cockpit set, and I thought it'd just be easier to convert the resin one than it would be to convert the plastic.
Just give us 1 sec, I just want to show something. Oh.
So we'll just while Steve's doing that, Mr. Buller, funny enough, I was out with him yesterday. Good afternoon, gents. Nice to see you and be able to watch you both live for a change. You both sound and looking good. Cheers, mate. Right, let me just refresh that. So you might get a bit of noise because, to be honest, I've got a big ass fan over there because it's so hot in here. So I've got a fan in here to sort of cool us down a little bit, oscillating over there. So apologies if you can hear a little bit of wind noise. And I don't mean me, that's not my wind. Wait for it, it'll fall through in a minute. Oh, come on. He's like klutz, he really is. If you listen closely, we can hear the sound of breaking plastic. We won't ask why he's sitting on a towel. I assume he's just sweaty. It's alright, he can't hear me. It's great. And he never watches this back either because he doesn't like watching himself. Okay, so that was John. What happened? I was watching and then the feed jumped to an earlier point. No worries, refreshed, now watching alive again. Chris, don't do that to me. That's not even funny. Right, shush everyone, he's coming back now. Shh, shh, shh. Pretend we haven't been talking about him.
Right.
Right, what you got then?
Originally, before I got the cockpit set, I got the what was it, Quick Boost seat.
Yeah, now I've got that. The Quick Boost. It's just the Aces 2 ejector seat, yeah?
Yeah. You look at the size of that.
Yeah, got you.
And then I will put next to it the True Details one. If you try and hold it so you can see it.
Right, yeah, definitely a bit bigger.
Yeah. So whose is right? That's the thing.
Now, hold on. Yeah, I will check my reference. I'm not going to try and dig them out now because they're not here. I'd have to go upstairs and get them all. But there is, I do believe it's the Aces 2 ejector seat, but because that's for the A10A, perhaps one's the early version of it and one's the later version of the Aces 2.
Yeah.
So perhaps there's a difference between the two.
But you look at the True Details one, it's absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
it's that
way. That's it.
You know, all the details.
It's all moulded in, it's really nice.
Beautiful seat.
Funny enough, because I don't talk about it much, I know. But you know I did all that commissions for the Hornets and that.
Yeah.
Every single one of those had a True Details ejector seat in it.
All right.
We used to replace the seat out of it, the kit one, with a resin one.
I
had a box turn up with ejector seats. Brilliant.
That's the big headset for it.
Yeah.
But I don't like how it's a bit of a cop out, I think, because I got this really cheap. You can pick it up very cheap on eBay. Like, your dashboard set comes separate,
right?
So, which is nice because it's all the dials on it. That looks good.
Yeah.
So that's one set. Why didn't they have it? But because it's an early kit, the interior is on a separate. I can't even find it. Like, there's your interior photo etch. So the interior one.
All right. Yeah.
I keep getting that wrong. I'll have to learn that. But
got you. Yeah.
You know, because it's really early, and then they've obviously come out with that.
Yeah, I've done a replacement.
You know, but the whole big heads are quite disappointed by, because you get your exterior set, or you get the armament.
Yeah.
So you'd have to roll all your stuff, and that could be quite. So probably won't use that. And you've got your
masks,
which, and then it's just even worse. You probably
I hate those things. They are too big. They are well oversized, those removable flight tags. I always use 48 scale ones.
And you'll probably end up now because you can get some really nice cloth ones.
Yeah.
So I won't be using them. So really,
yeah, it's not really worth buying the big headset.
No, unless you got it as a bargain. I think somebody was selling it off, getting rid of it. So I do have a Cockpit, some photo wedge, which could probably add to the, especially around the canopy and all that.
Yeah.
Then you've obviously got your exterior. Apart from that, I'll only just be using the instrument panel. So really, most of that won't be used.
I must admit, it does seem a bit silly because there's no way I'd use that armament set.
No, some of it looks alright, but cutting out fins off and sticking 4H ones on, which won't look as nice.
I can't remember. Does anybody do a 1/32 lightning pod? Does a sniper pod? I don't want the lightning one, the round one. I want the square one. Oh. I'm sure somebody does because I know somebody was after one for something else for an F-15E. Because they use the sniper pod now, which is the more chiseled looking one. It's not like rounded; it's like a chisel pod.
I don't. Somebody will.
Somebody do, because that's what I need to stick on mine. Well, they don't carry the jammer anymore pod either. They don't bother with that because they call that the paperweight. Because it does. Apparently, it's crap.
Well, what you can get as well, which I might actually get for mine, AFV Club do a 1/32 half glass canopy.
Yes, yeah, I did see that. I might go down that route.
Yeah. So I might have to get one of them myself. But yeah, the big headset is a bit disappointing, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely seems a bit disappointing now. As I say, my one, it's quite straightforward because I've got to add, obviously, another monitor, which isn't a problem because it's a standard one out of an F16, and I've got the sets for making them up in 1/32 and that, so I can do that. And then the combing's different because it has to make way for two monitors because they're big ones. The one on the A is quite a small normal color green color display unit, but the big ones are a lot bigger. They have them sat each side, so the combing over the top of the instrument panel is totally different. So, but I reckon it'd be quite easy to scratch build. The lumps and bumps on the outside are all pretty standard trait thing. It's got GPS and all the rest of it that have to go on the spine. But they're all things I think could probably be done quite easily. And I think it would just be nice to upgrade one to a C versus the A. Not that there's anything wrong with the A, but...
Surprised there's no one's done a really big conversion set.
Well, there was a rumour going round that somebody was going to be doing the conversion set for the Hobby Boss one. And then there was another rumour going round that somebody was going to release the C version of the kit. So I think that might have killed the conversion off, and then obviously nothing's happened to the kit. So it'd be interesting to see if anyone does sort of jump in.
It'd be nice if somebody suddenly turned around and said we're going to bring out the new 1/32 one before we start. That'd be nice.
Again, I can't imagine anyone doing it because it's just so big. What the hell do you do with it?
But then
to put it on par, it's the equivalent. You're going to have to do this time. I've got a delivery. No, I'm not. It's driven past. It's all right. Slowly going past the delivery van. No, the thing is that, I'm all for these big scale kits, but the trouble with the A10 is it literally is a square box. The wings, because they're straight, they just hang out this way. So if you're going to put it in a case, the case has to be bigger than an A2 cutting mat. It's huge to fit this thing in. So it is that thing of what you do with it. I have a slight plan with mine. Because obviously the tail on it is like the way it is. I might put a couple of hooks on the wall and hang it on the wall.
Yeah.
Facing downwards on its gear. So you know what I mean? So it's actually hanging down. Like they did with the Lancaster for the big one, 32nd Lancaster.
Be a good idea.
If it ever gets released, that's what that's got. It's got a hanger, so you can hang it on its arse, hanging off the wall. It's like a bracket. And I'm thinking maybe up here it looked quite nice. I could hang it on the wall and just face it downwards with it all on. Because I'll probably do it with the speed brakes open, because I just love the A10 with the speed brakes open. And put, deploy it all and everything else. But I'm not going to have it all opened up. I know it has the electronics bays, isn't it? You can have open. But what I might do is just put the ladder down and just have it like that.
Well, if I'm going to do mine on the ground, I might just have it all open.
Yeah, it's just that what to do with the bloody thing.
That's it. Well, simple. Raffle. We'll raffle them off.
Raffle it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have it as the booby prize.
Okay, Theo says, hi Phil and Steve, just wanted to update you on the the 3-day group bill idea that I mentioned on the Saturday show. I made a post, which I did see, under the modelling chat to see if anyone wanted to get involved. 7 people, including me, showed interest, making it up to 9, including both of you. Did you sign up for this, Steve?
I am coming up. Yeah, but I've had a little thought on that. Why don't we, if we go to do it, instead of 3 days, why don't we could say, right, we'll start it on the Saturday show.
Yeah.
And it's finishes in Q&A on Tuesday. So
that'd be a good one.
Yeah, so we can start in there.
Yeah.
And on Tuesday, it's all finished.
Yeah.
And then you can see what we've all been doing and.
Yeah, we could do a bit of a special one, couldn't we? We could do a special Saturday show with the build. So we'll start it literally with you guys. And this time will be start at 9 o'clock Saturday morning, and it ends on Q&A on Tuesday afternoon. That's a good one, actually. That'd be a good way of doing it. Right. Well, how about that then, Theo? We could try that. I'm just trying to think. When would we do something like that?
I don't know. It'd be somewhere around Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, if we pull it in. Yeah, just after Telford would be nice.
Have it as a Christmas.
Oh, good. I can build Bandai. Every year I do Christmas at December.
Yeah, well, if it's 72nd, yeah, Bandai, here we come.
Yeah, that's it.
So we'll have to think of something else, or maybe I want a 48th training jet or something simple.
I was going to say, it can't be too complicated.
No.
As I say, it's all right for me and you. We can sit here if we wanted to, but everyone else has got life, work, eating.
Yeah, well, so can't really book holidays. They get shot back life, won't they?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, everyone book a holiday.
Yeah.
Come and join us, and we'll do a live stream that never ends. It's just open-ended on, using Broadcaster, and we'll just carry on. Just sit here.
That would be funny, wouldn't it?
It would be. I'm here all night. I'm here for 3 days.
Right, so that goes.
I must admit, I did build a Hasegawa Phantom in 24 hours once. I had a commission, and it was like, okay, this is it. This is how much you're going to pay, but it has to be done in 24 hours because it was a present. So I must admit, I did do it, but straight out of the box. Okay, so Robert says, hi Phil and Steve, I mainly use Tamiya and Ammo by MIG Paints. I use self-leveling thinners leveling thinners, and it does have a retarder in it since I live in Florida for 6 months of the 90 plus weather. Sorry, I presume it means temperature. 90 plus degrees weather is tough on spraying when the wife won't allow me in the house. Also, you give reviews. Also, when you give reviews, you give the price in quids. I'm familiar with the British pounds, but not the quid. Sorry, yeah, that is pounds. Quid, pounds. That's me just getting carried away with that. Normally I'm very good with it. So I thought you'd froze for a moment.
No, I just missed one movie.
Oh, right. Yes, basically, self-leveling paint has a retarder in it, which is why it levels. That's all it does. It delays the drying time. So the skin, obviously, on the top is what dries first, and then the paint obviously goes hard inside. What happens is if you just in a hot country, especially if you get high humidity, you can get orange peel effect very, very easily, or such a rough texture. So it just dries, but the retarder delays the drying time, not by tons, but it just makes enough to make the paint be able to go level out properly, and then when it dries slower, so it doesn't pinch or pucker, and it gives you a nicer finish. So that is what you're getting there. So self-leveling thinners is pretty much a must when you're in 90-degree heat, definitely. When I was in Arizona and it was 110, and like there's no such thing as humidity because you just don't sweat. I'm amazed how you guys paint out there. That must be an absolute killer, because air conditioning is a nightmare for spraying it with as well, so that's got to be incredible. So yes, quid is pounds as well, so no problem with that. Sorry about that, Robert. Right, Jerry says, hi Phil and Steve, understand how understand how having multiple Skype users may add to, much complexity right now, but have you ever thought or tried of allowing members to have video clips of themselves where we can ask questions? We could get to see the other members and their workrooms. To be honest, I did think of this, and I have thought of this a lot, and the way we could do it is you could send me a clip via email, and then I can edit it and load it into this, and we can play it. There is actually a way of doing it. So as long as it was a short clip, I could do it. So if you did want to give that a whirl, we could do it. Okay? So the easiest way to do is get a hold of me is to send it to the promodeler@gmail.com one, because that is like my dump one, which everything ends up in there. Okay, or you could send it via membership@florymodels.co.uk. Okay, and then do it. But if you did, but don't make them massive, because otherwise trying to send them over the internet would be huge. But if you kept the question short and concise, I can do it on this. I do have a way of doing it. Okay, so it's not via Skype, I can do it as a video, so we can just play your clip as your question comes up. Because the thing is, we have thought about having people on and all the rest of it, but Steve's computer is very good, it's a very high-end computer, so he doesn't struggle sending me in high quality like he is now, and also he's got a very good connection. If you've got a low computer in a bad area, it slows us down as well, so everything grinds to a halt. We've tried it in the past and we've had all types of problems. So not only does your image looks rubbish, ours does as well, because the system tries to work a base point. So that's why, you know, me and Steve tend to get on quite well with this, and we don't have problems. But if you are in like a bad bandwidth area and you can't stream in HD, it's a bit of a problem. But definitely, that is a good question. We could do that one though, Jerry. So if anybody wants to try that, send it to me and I'll queue them up for next week. Okay, Chris says, hi, me again. 3 times now, and the live show has jumped back to the beginning. I refresh and come back live. Not sure if it's just me or whether it's a problem with you, your feed. To be honest, Chris, I can actually check our feed. Let me just pop off, seeing as our last question. Where is it? Where are we? We want to go there, and we want to go there. No, it's saying we're fine here. To be honest, health is green, which is always good. Everything is fine. I'm not sure why it's jumping back, I must admit. You know, the trouble is, don't forget, we are still, it's YouTube at the end of the day. There's no other real way to do it. And to be honest, it's the best. That's why we don't have our own server anymore, because YouTube's better than the server we used to have, which would charge us £680 a month to do that. So yeah, from that point of view, it's pretty good. And we've got 162 of you are currently watching, I think. So that's pretty good. So yes, we're all alright. We're all streaming okay at the moment, as far as I can tell. Right, let me just check more questions. Right, okay, that's all good. Just make sure why I'm suddenly got 5 private messages come through. So everyone's saying, I can't hear you.
All right. Well, I can hear you, Phil.
No, it's not. I'm just saying that's probably what it would be.
I think they've got all the numbers wrong here. Where's that which one that dropped? I saw it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just making sure nobody's sent me questions via PMs and that. Honestly, try not to, but...
Yeah, well, we've got your questions in your normal area.
Yeah, that's why I'm just off to that one now, actually, mate. I'm going as we speak.
Right,
okay.
I have found a problem with this Millennium Falcon.
No, you haven't. It's user error.
No, the part numbers are wrong.
No, they're not.
They are E168, and then on the opposing ones, which is 7-5, they've got them in with part numbers wrong. So
if I remember rightly, the left and the right is slightly different on that. I think I picked up on that actually in the video build.
Yeah, it's just these little bits, just in that area there.
Yeah, it is. Yes, you're right. Actually, I did mention that on the video build.
Because I've been like, well, what the bloody hell, and I've had to just all mix till they're getting to fit. And you start thinking, well, am I going nuts here? Have I got it wrong?
I know.
And then well, it ain't me. I'm sure it ain't me. It's this.
Okay, so where's my questions to? Okay, so this is over to my questions now. We've done the ones from today's Q&A, so we've got a bit of time left over, so I've got mine. On Tuesday the 23rd, during the Q&A show, you talked a bit about next year's group builds and asked for suggestions. The Big in Japan group build is fantastic due to the huge variety of available subjects, and I suppose something similar could be done with many countries, but how about doing a particular model manufacturer instead? So he's put up some ideas of Totally Tamiya, the Revel Revolution, Airfix Award. We did, I was about to say it, yeah. Bandai Bounty, any brand will do, since they are all part of our modelling history. Some manufacturer offer kits of all types: aircraft, autos, armour, space, etc. Plus, with your reputation in the modelling industry, which, trust me, isn't that good because most of them hate me, I think, many manufacturers might even want to participate in some way. On the other hand, some may consider it selling out to a particular brand or a group build might cause unwanted associations. We would also have to consider what you try very hard to remain impartial to all brands and all types. Looks like there are positives and negatives aspects to this idea, but that's all it is, an idea. Regards and thanks for all your hard work, Dan. To be honest, Dan, as Steve quite rightly points out, we did have one last year, was it, or the year before?
Yeah.
We did Tamiya. We had literally a Tamiya. Was it a group build? Yeah, it was. It was
Yeah,
one
it
of the
was
best
a group
group
build.
builds ever, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge. I think we had, I don't know, we had a very high finish rate on that one. But we did. We had the Tamiya group build. It was as simple as that. Tamiya kits, go for your life. So we have done it. I don't think it's selling out at all. I wouldn't go off and start saying, can I have some kits from them? Because otherwise that would be seen to be selling out. But you know, definitely. Because to be honest, if I remember rightly, so I don't want to drop anybody in it here, but we could have been associated a lot bit more with them, but it was my choice not to, over something very similar to this, where a particular company wanted to sponsor us, and I was like, yeah, but that's really getting in bed with you guys, and I don't fancy doing that. So we declined and backed out of it very nicely, because I don't want to, as I say, have Tamiya sponsoring us, because it means like we have to be nice or we have to do anything. I don't mind doing them though, because we have done Tamiya. So if people did want to do Revel, and let's face it, I've had a falling out with them, so that'll be them well covered. They'll be making up for all the pain and suffering I caused them a few years ago. But yes, if you guys wanted to do something like that, list them down. Me and the guys will go through it. We'll take the positives and the negatives from everybody's choices. We'll make a bit of a short list, and then me, Steve, and Hans will make a decision. Well, they will actually. I usually keep my nose out of it. I leave it to them. And
then blame us if it goes.
Yeah, and then I can just sit here impartially and say, well, it wouldn't have been my idea, but what can I do? The forum team overruled me. They've got more votes than I have. So yes, but definitely, I don't see it selling out at all. I wouldn't mind it if people wanted to go down that route. As I said, the big thing is if it's going to be a group build, it's 6 months out of your life. It's got to be something where everybody can join in. So it doesn't. If it was a kit manufacturer, that's not so bad, because most of the kit manufacturers, the main ones, shall we say, there's something for everybody in there. And quite frankly, if Bandai suddenly turned around and said, Phil, we'd love to sponsor you, I'd sell out in a heartbeat. I have no morals, because they're good products, And as I say, don't forget, we had that mass fallout with Revel many years ago now. I think that was 5 years ago now. We've had a real thing with Revel over something. But they were absolutely fantastic. When it all blew up, and I know we had that massive thing where people were boycotting them, and it went absolutely crazy. It went absolutely viral around the internet. But when I spoke very candidly to their CEO over a modelling bench, which was an amazing thing to do, he was one of the nicest blokes I've ever spoken to. And it was all right, we'll sort it, and we moved on, and obviously we've sorted our bit, they sorted their bit, and we all moved away from it very positively. I took a lot out of that from me being in this industry, of coming from a guy who just builds models for commissions to being someone who has to watch what he says, shall we say, over things. I learned a lot from that entire experience, that the little guy has got a big voice, and you can shout very loudly, and you can take one of the biggest hobby companies and put them on their knees and come grovelling to you is quite something. So don't get me wrong, but a lot of it is misunderstanding. Big companies have big corporate lawyers, and they've got millions of pounds to throw at people to get rid of them, and everything else. But they don't really want to do that. That's not what they are. They are people at the end of the day. And afterwards, we all came out really good friends from it, and we shared a lot of information and various bits and pieces. And I think we learned just as much from them as they learned from it as well. So I think they learned the power of social media. Very nicely at that one, so yeah, definitely.
It's good that you don't tie up, because you can remain impartial and be honest.
Yeah, and that is the thing, you know.
We were saying, I don't know if it were recorded, but I'm reading a certain magazine today that were delivered, and they're on about Revels, Reeboks, and the fire mold kits, but we all know it's been superseded.
Yeah.
By the Bandai kit, the X-Wing, but they're singing, "Oh, it's the details incredible, blah blah blah," and you think, well, it isn't. It's not as good as that, but they don't say it because they get the kits free, and
that's it. Yeah,
they're
and
pleasing
them, and it's absolutely. You know, it just amazes me still that you know, as I say, I think. Not so much the magazines and things like that, but people in general are so small-minded to think they don't realise how business works. And I know modelers tend to be a little bit, you know, mushroomy. We don't know really what's going on and everything else. But business is business at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if you've got a turnover of 100,000 or you've got a turnover of 100 million. Business is business at the end of the day. And you're there to pay the bills and to pay people's wages and all the things like that. So, you know, you need to do whatever that takes. So if that means that, you know, not saying it's a crap kit, but just, you know, not shouting very loudly, shall we say, yeah, that's what you're going to do. You know, if we could have sold out years ago now. We had a company approach us who wanted to sponsor the news show. When we used to do the weekly news show, and it was done as a proper show, they came to us and said, we would love to sponsor your show. We want to have an advert at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. We'll cover you, and we'll pay, to be honest, a very nice fee for doing it and all the rest of it, which would have been lovely. But they would have had their adverts all over it. And also, they sell stuff, and they're not going to like it when I turn around in one of the reviews and say, this is crap, don't buy it, it's useless. Because they also wanted to send me all the stuff for review as well, as it was being released. I would have got it all for nothing. Which sounds lovely, but there's no way I was going to do it, because, you know, at the end of the day, we try and be impartial, and we try and tell you guys what it is, and you guys are my boss. You pay my wages, you pay for all of this, not them. So it was never going to be a runner to start with. But I've noticed there has been a few other sites out there, shall we say, who obviously have sold out to a few companies and doing various things for them, and I just think, how can you be impartial? You know, at the end of the day, that's what I try and do, is just be impartial. If it's not brilliant, it's not brilliant. We have some manufacturers I think do brilliant kits, and I've said it's fantastic, and then they'll release another one and it's crap, and I'll say it's crap. And it's the same with products as well. It's like, you know, I try and be a little bit more impartial about products now and get a feel for them, like primers, because let's face it, every time someone released a primer last year, I'd say it was brilliant, and then no, it's not, there's a better one. That's why I've given up on that one now, and to be honest, I'm using a primer now. I absolutely love it, but I'm not going to go too much about it until I really think there is nothing better, and then I'll tell you. So, you know, you all know what it is. I love the AK primer at the moment. I think it's very, very nice. I can say it. I've been using these exclusively for the last, 3-4 months now, and I think they really are very, very good. Purely because you shake it, I put in a nut in here, and you spray it, and it's as simple as that. And I haven't found a single problem with it yet. It's been absolutely great. So,
yeah, I have used it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's any different from anybody else's. It's just that it's handy. It just works really, really well. So.
Well, that's what you want, though, isn't it? A product where you can just pick it up and use it.
Yeah, and that, to be honest, is what I always say with this, is that there is a multitude of products out there. It doesn't matter if it's paint, if it's tweezers, if it's brushes, if it's cutting mats, you know. Everybody has their own personal choice because they all roughly do the same thing. It's just that for me, that's what works for me. I'm not saying it'll work for you, but it works for me, and I'm quite happy to tell you it works for me. If I get a product that, quite frankly, is terrible, and it's crap, and it just doesn't work or whatever, then I will tell you. I don't have that, I don't know, worry of thinking I'm going to upset someone, because I'm hoping that companies would take it more as a, you know, a bit of a, right, okay, we need to do something about it. And don't forget, over the years, I've upset some very large companies, and I've had letters from them, and I've had letters from people telling me I want a retraction, and you can't say that, I want it retracted, and I've never done a retraction, and I've stood by everything I've said, you know. So
well, it's your opinion, isn't it? Everything.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, if you think it's disappointing that there's things wrong with it, you can say that. They can't make you retract for telling the truth.
Yeah. But unfortunately, as you say, there is, you know, I'm not so much, I know everyone thinks I dig at the magazines. I don't dig at the magazines and the magazine guys, because at the end of the day, they're doing their best. But I think that the magazines need to embrace the new way of modelling and everything else. And it's something where the weathering mags have jumped on and done it. The weathering mags out there, like MIG's Mag and AK Weathering and that, they've sort of embraced the new way of social media and everything else like that. So, you know, MIG and AK are the two companies that spring to my mind, because they use that tool to promote their products and show things, and they show a lot more. I'm not saying their products are good or bad or whatever, or indifferent, but from a social media point of view, I think they're very good. But I think the normal magazines out there, the normal modelling magazines that we all grew up with, got left behind. You know, and unfortunately they're still in the old school way of doing it, and you know, the internet's moved on and videos have moved on and everything else like that. So I think really that they're all playing catch up now. And as I say, everyone thinks I've got a thing with MIG and various things. I've never spoken to the guy in my life, you know, that's the weird thing about it. He does his side, I do mine, you know. I don't agree with some of his, I'm sure he doesn't agree with a lot of mine, you know, but that is what we do, you know, at the end of the day. But he's incredibly good with social media. You know, and that is what is driving this hobby now. I think really without social media, this hobby would be dead on its arse, really. You know? So, never mind, rant over.
Yeah, good old social media.
Yeah, social media.
Well, it brings modellers together, doesn't it? Who otherwise would be sat at home on their own.
My only thing with social media is, and it's some things I hate, is some of the rants that certain people put on things like Facebook and that. I hate reading it. So what I always do is I don't even block them anymore. I take them off my Facebook. I just hide them. You know, because I just don't listen to the drivel that comes out of some of their mouths, and it's like, oh, really? It's supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be, who cares what other people are doing, you know? It should be what you're doing is the thing. But
yeah,
they seem to worry about other people more than anything else, you know, so.
Oh, yeah, some of the stuff.
But, yes, never mind.
It's the lovey-dovey remarks. We don't all want to know about it. Send it in a personal message.
Yeah, that's it.
They're the worst. Or what? This is what I'm having for my tea right now. They put a picture of a McDonald's up. Yeah, we all know what it looks like. I hate that.
Yes, funnily enough, I won't say his name because I don't know if he wants me to tell for you, but a friend of mine who's a very good modeller as well, and we do know him, he put up a complete rant over the weekend saying how that Facebook has changed from being that thing about our friends and family and what we're doing has turned into, because obviously in America a lot of it's political at the moment with the elections and the various things, and you know, obviously things happening in the world with wars and the pros and cons, and they're saying instead of it being social, it's now just turned into like a venting. It's like a soapbox somebody can stand on and shout their opinions. But quite frankly, he doesn't care about that, and he doesn't want to know it. So now he's got this thing now. So he's saying, if I don't agree with you, and you're not my friend, a few days later, you know why. So he says, I just want nice things on my Facebook with people talking about it, showing off their wares perhaps, talking about families and stuff like that, rather than always political and other crap that's going on and negativity. And I thought, that's actually very good, the way he's like, so if you do notice you're not my friend, you know you've upset me, so don't bother sending me another request.
Yeah, I must admit I had the very occasional rant, but it has to be something that really annoys me. But to be honest, I don't, other stuff I just put up fun things that you think, oh, my
Yeah,
mates would
so,
like to see that. You
yeah.
know.
Actually, you sent me something the other day and the link didn't work, and John told you it didn't work, so I didn't even see that was. John said to you, I can't see the link either.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know
I
what
can't
that
understand why it does that.
does
Now,
that occasionally. I must admit, I can get that one.
oh, I think it were it were
Yeah, steady.
yeah. It were on Facebook, so it's
Oh,
but
it's
it were a
alright
very
then.
nice, rather good-looking Boba Fett or something,
Oh, right, okay.
but not a female version of Boba Fett.
Oh, I think I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Funny, I think I've got that one on my phone somewhere. Right. Okay,
Secret
so,
now.
right, getting off the rants and all the rest of it now. So, where were we? So, Stephen says, hi Phil, I'm not a builder of wingy things, but thought it was time to give it a try. So I thought what better way was to follow you with a build. My question is, what SU are you going to build? Thanks for the great site and looking forward to the Chieftain. Haha, started. It should be up with you tomorrow if I get a bit more done. Right, okay, so we've got two options, and I have down here the SU33 Flanker D in 72nd, and I've got it in 48th. So what I might do is the SU27 normal flanker. I've got the early type down there, and I've got the late, I think. Have I got the late? Yeah. Yeah, we've got two. We've got three 172s down there. I'm planning on building one of those so I can test the MR paints. So that is the plan with that. And I'm calling them. I'm going to be pushing this now because I'm not going to call them Mr. Paints because I've lost my bit of paper now. What's his name? I've got his name written down on something. Oh God, I've lost it. I can't remember his now. But I have got it written down because that's his initials. MR is his initials. I can't remember what it was now. I did say on the show the other day. But that's what it is. It's MR as paints. So that's what it is. MRP or MR paints. But yes, I will probably do, because I want to do one just to test the paints. I will probably do the SU27 early flanker in 1/72 scale. I'll do it quickly as a one-day build, put it together, and then I'll, because I've got all the colours for it, you see. So I've got all the SU colours for the Ukrainian Air Force. So, let me just pull in here. Oh, and a neck. From the stash. So that'll be the one. That'll be the one. So yeah, this is the plan because I've got the green for the nose, the gear, and all the bits. So all I've got to do now is find a 1/72 scale Orion, Norwegian one, and rip the tail off, and we're good to go. So that'll be the one we're going to go for. And say I'm probably going to do it as a one-day build. Does this count as my 3-day build then if I do it in a day? So yes. So I'll put it together flat out and I'll record it for you guys obviously, and then we'll do the full-on test, completely separate, of painting it and putting it together. So from that point of view, I think it'll be quite an interesting, because we're using the paint and angle instead of spraying to plastic hard. We're actually put it on the kit, but I've got all the Russian flanker colours for this one for the normal SU family as well. So, and I've got the colour set as well for Ukrainian flankers. So between it all, I've got flanker colours everywhere. Will that sit there? Don't fall over in it a plane. So yes. Whoa, losing my phone. Don't drop it. Don't work as it is. So yes.
I'll have to have a good look at the MRP paint range.
Oh God, it goes on forever now.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Be nice to try and get some colours to do the Typhoon. Try it on that.
Mm.
That'd be nice because they get the right green and brown and the greys.
Yeah.
That would be a good test model actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
If it's got the modern armour stuff colours as well, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I must say, when I was going through their paint thing, I didn't realise they did as many as they did. It goes on forever. Literally, like the colours I've got there, we're up to the 200s in the colour range. So it does go on quite a bit. I've got number 1, which is the top Russian Cockpit turquoise, the green. And then I go through the mid-40s for the early flanker colours, which is obviously for this one. And then I've gone up for the the late flanker colours and the SU33s, and then we got the ones dedicated for the SU33 as well, for the navalised one. So that's the ones I've gone for. But I was looking through their colour ranges, and if you are into your Russian stuff, this is the ones you want to get, because they have got every conceivable Russian colour you can imagine up there. So it's really, really nice. But they do the standard REF, German colours and all the bits and pieces as well. So, you know, you name it, they do it. So we'll give them a whirl, we'll see how they work out. Okay, so right, where else were we? Right, that's all, done that, sorry, it's all moved. Okay, so the next question was, is it going to be a theme for Telford? We said about this, didn't we? Yeah. Not really, just group builds, didn't we, saying? Stuff
yeah, group builds if you just bring it, ideally from the group builds, if you bring your kit along, and then next year we'll try and think of something that we can run all year, and then do something for the table, you know, transform the look of the table and really go to town, maybe try and win, because they have competition, but I don't know if we'd count for any of them, would we?
Yeah, we have to pay for a table.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hint heavily to IPMS to let us have another table, but they never seem to listen. But if anybody can like sway some power, see if they can grab us another table, because they cost us a fortune. You know, so yeah, it'd be nice if we could have another double depth table next to us and we can display some more great models free of charge. Would be nice. That's what I'm saying, we need a SIG. Can we be a registered SIG? How do we get one of them? You're an IPS member. Hans is an IPMS judge, so that's got to pull some sway somewhere, surely.
Oh, it won't.
Does that mean I have to become an IPMS member?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Only
if I get a free table and it saves me 500 quid, I would.
The only way they do that is to make florymodels an IPMS branch, and then you'd have to have all treasurer, secretary, chairman.
How would that work?
Oh God! But that's the only way. But I have got a trestle table now that I could bring with me. So
well, we've got our other ones that we do, haven't we?
Yeah, so we've got
IPMS. We'll even supply our own tables. So if we can have another table, please, that would be lovely. Because at the moment we have 4 tables. So we have 2 for show stock, for the sales side, and then we have 2 for the models on display.
Well, basically you're paying for the table space, aren't you, for table long? Because we usually double up that, don't we, if we get extra tables. So you can do.
Don't tell them that. They have to charge us for that. You pay extra for double depth, but we do it anyway.
Oh shit.
Hey, look, we've been going there for the last 7 years, so I'm sure we'll be all right. I don't think they'll do us for that one. Okay, so anyway, moving on swiftly. Dave says, "Hi Phil, the big fella in the red gear is coming." Oh, who's that? With a white beard. Is due to arrive in a few months. My better half would like to know what I'd fancy for Christmas. Yeah, apart from a quiet life, I thought I'd suss out a new extraction system and compressor from the cave. Please let me know. Sorry, someone's walking through my door. It's okay. Melanie's home after a hard day slaving away.
She's only been gone 2 hours.
I know. Well, no, she came home to do paperwork and then she went out again. That's what it was. She has been out since 6. Sorry, yeah. You want to know my compressor, my spray booth. Thanks again. I know you're busy, chappy, but any info would be great. Thanks again. Okay, so my compressors, if you go to Everything Airbrush, because obviously you get your 10% discount, I've got the TC, is it the TH or the HT? I don't know.
TC.
Anyway, TC610, which I highly recommend. Go and get that one. Okay, I've also got the TC 620, which is a double piston one. And again, they are great. They've been fantastic. I've been using them now, both of them solidly since I've had them. The TC, to be honest, the one that's running in there at the moment is the 620. The 610 is my backup, and when I have 3 people spraying in here, which is very rare these days, to be honest, but I'll get the other one out for that. I think they're great. I don't know how much they are these days. They're about 220 quid, I think. But to be honest, that compressor runs every day, no problem at all. And the other one, until I retired it only a few months ago, really, has been running flawlessly for the last 5 years. No problem at all. More than that, 6 years it would be actually. Was running no problem at all. And there's nothing wrong with it now, it's absolutely fine. I use it for my backup or portable one if I need to move it around and things like that. So no problem there. Spray booth, obviously we've got the big one here, which is called, what, Steve? Oh God, I can never remember. It's a 300D from Graphic Air, but they call it something else now, don't they? Changed the name a bit. But if you put 300D, it's the only one. Steve's one behind him is the same as me, apart from he has a plastic shroud around his, because that's when Steve used to have his spray tan business. Because that's how they market that one, for spray tan extractions and things.
Hexagon.
The hexagon, is it called? Right,
yeah,
okay.
but it can also, because of the back of it, you can have it tilt it onto the angle.
That's
so
right, yeah,
like
yours
that.
is at a pitch, yeah.
Yeah.
Spray booth work, yeah, that's what that one is.
Spray my ass. Cheeky git.
So when he does his spray tan, that's how he gets his good tan.
Yeah, Mr. Pasty over here.
That's where he gets that lovely warm glow from. But the thing is, this one here, again, I've had this now for, I don't know, we must be coming up for 10 years. Yeah, we've got to be at least 8-9 years into this one now. Again, it runs every single day. And it's no problem at all. It's great, absolutely fantastic. And in fact, I have a confession. I'm thinking, when I have my rearrange here, I was actually looking at a lot of the Americans have these fantastic big spray booths, and I was thinking about maybe something like that as a future investment. I might look round at it, but definitely for normal people, shall we say, this is a lovely piece of kit. But it's not cheap. It's like 350 quid, I think they are. They're not cheap at all. I think they're 299 quid, something else like that. I don't know even if our discount coupon still works. We used to have one with them. I have to chat them up again and see. But absolutely fantastic. Your other option, which you can get through Everything Airbrush with a discount code as well, 10%, is these guys. Now these are, God, there's a review on them. I can't remember what they're called now. Aircom. They do two flavours. They do like an 18 watt motor or one, I think, with a 30 watt motor. Get the 30 watt motor. It is twice as powerful. It's got great draw. And to be honest, from cubic feet of air, there's not much between these. The only drawback to these is, from my point of view, the air extraction is directly in the back. So at the moment, they're not plumbed in to get it out of the room. This one is, obviously, it goes in and out. That's what I would recommend. But it's a personal thing about budget. One of these, I think, is around about 130 quid, 150 quid, could be wrong. And then you can daisy chain them all together, so you can have, I think it's a maximum of 5 in a line, which would be absolutely great. But you've got to do something with the air that's coming out the back. So that's the drawback to it. You can get like door wedges and things to put the vents through, but this one here, if you can afford it, it's still the biggest and baddest on the way. It gets rid of everything. It's great. Usual thing is, say, we spoke to Steve before we went on air, or as we were on the way. I'm going to send him some of the fibre fill stuff up, so he can have some of that as well. Don't buy the mesh things because they're like 20 quid each. You can buy one of these, and I work out they're like 60p each to cut your own and put them in, so it works out a lot cheaper. But again, if you're going to be serious about the hobby and with airbrushing and all that thing, and it's something where you do perhaps larger items as well, that it is a must, because it will cut down dust and noise and smell and everything else like that. Okay, so from that point of view, it is pretty much one of those things. Everyone talks about health and safety and all the rest of it. That is probably the best thing you can have, because it really does do a good job of getting everything out of your environment very quickly. So yes, so there we go. A 300D and a TC610 compressor. That's all you need. Okay, so the next one, we were talking to Tim Roberts. He was saying about, he's found a picture about it. It says blown canopies and Tackiness did not go into the cockpit. I tell you, it's a minefield, because I've got line drawings now from the drawings of the real aircraft showing they did go in the cockpit and how they go into the cockpit. And I've got people saying some went in, some didn't. Again, I think you have to be careful about museum pieces. Perhaps their cables don't go in. And certainly some of the historical ones that were done after the war, they didn't have aerials like that at all. They sort of went the other way. But trust me, I put a photo up somewhere. Where did I put that photo? Oh, it's further down. I put a photo on there showing my armoured cockpit. So it's got the full armour behind the pilot, like a combing that runs down behind his head. So you can see it through the glass, and it shows him stood next to it with a taut aerial. So mine definitely has a taut aerial. So I'm sticking with Mr. whatever his name. What is his name anyway? He is. He was taken in 1943. So blah blah blah, but there's a guy stood right next to it with my canopy on my aircraft with the taut aerial, so I'm sticking with that one now. So anyway, that's that one. Right, so Craig says, hi Phil, please save a lot of confused modelers now upgrading their airbrush and paints. My issue is I've seen the Model Air sets, Vallejo, 8 pots of RAF fighters, bombers, desert, early German, etc. These are the sets which are... that's AKs. Where's Vallejo? Is that Vallejo? Is that a Vallejo set? That's Vallejo set. Okay, which he means sets like these, which we used on this guy. We used all Vallejos on this one. Or was it AK? I don't know. Yeah, no, it's Vallejo's all on that one. And was going to buy them, but thought, do I need to buy all the sets as some colours will be doubled up? But I have trouble with these sets colours in each. Do you have a list of the RAF colours and German colours for European and African scenes, as I can't match or check the sets with what colours the US Air Force and Russia sets list in, and he's got the numbers there. I've watched a review and as a novice I think it would be a good starting point. If you can help, thanks Craig. Right, okay, I'm sure online you'll probably get this picture. I'll tell you what I can do is, if I get this to work. Actually, if I do this, you could pause it. Hold on. If I go something like, hold on, I have a cunning plan, Baldrick. Okay, pause now. Hold on, might be able to do it even closer. There we go. Okay, so this is the pre-war ones. So this has the actual colours. So it's the bit down here is AV71 is the acrylic. Okay, so it's 015, okay, which is RLM 71. And then you've got down here 44 is RLM 02, and you've got 55, which will be 255, which is RLM 65. For the yellow, you've got in there 078, okay, and then so forth and so on. So if you pause, you can see a lot of these, and it will come up with the colours. Now in here, if it follows the same as all the others, you'll get a colour thing, and this will be all the German colours, and it will list them. So again, if you pause the video now, you can see the colour callouts for them, and these are the Luftwaffe sets for the actual colour callouts for them and what you get in. And yes, of course, you're going to get double ups, I think. RLM 66. Yeah, so you get double ups between the tropical one and the late war ones, and obviously you're going to get double ups, or it looks like you can just get the set, which would probably be the better way to go then, of which is 71193, which is all the RLM colours, and you could kill the one bird with one stone and just get them all in that set instead of buying the individual sets. So I'm not sure, because I haven't got it here anymore. Did I give one away as a prize? I have to check. But the RAF colour ones may be the same. They might do a set with just all the colours in down here, but that will be the one you'll want to sort of go with down there. Because as I said, if you did buy these 3 sets, you're going to get a lot of overlaps. Like RLM 02 is in both of these, and we've got RLM 65 is in these 2, but then is not in the late one. So there is obviously a little bit of move around with them all, but I'm sure if you go on Vallejo's website, it will probably give you this very same information from these sets here, rather than messing around with them all and doing the bits and pieces like that. So yes, They are a bit of a minefield when you're buying the sets. You end up with duplicates, but sometimes the duplicate colours like RLMO2, you go through a lot of that anyway, so it's not so bad. Just seeing what other ones I've got down there. AK, I've got a lot of AK stuff as well. So yes. Okay, so George, is it possible that Chris. Hold on. I'm confused now because Chris is answering about George. What was George on about then? Was he on about something else? Sorry, it's getting confusing now where people will talk about other things. Okay, so Andrew says, "Hi Phil, I don't get online as much, so please forgive me if this is an obvious question. The only video I've managed to see recently is the cleaning of the room you did the weekend before last. You've done such a good job. Can you come and do mine?" Do you know what? I've had more people ask me to do that than anything, I think. Anyway, could I ask about the superglue application? I've bought the Guns Mr. Glue applicator. You know what? I have one of them. What did I do with mine? I think mine sort of disappeared over time. Yeah, we did do it. We reviewed it on one of the old news shows. But I've not used it as of yet. The instructions are in Japanese. I'm looking for a better way to apply glue. I didn't know if you'd use them. I'm hesitant as I don't know what to use to clean them up. Would you know what you use to clean them and what they're made from a different material as it's quite expensive and I don't want to ruin them? Thanks, Rodders. Right, these things were reviewed by us probably a while ago and I thought I still had them, which I have got some of them. There's, hold on everyone, there's one. We find they come in, there's two, yeah, we still got them somewhere, there's two. Right, these are these things here. If I just put this one on, so you can. Right, these are these. They are made of like a Teflon stroke rubbery material. And what happens is when you get super glue on them, you can literally just bend them a bit and it cracks and just falls off. So this one is like a needle. So you put your super glue, dab it on the end, and you can dab it in whatever place you want. This thing is more of a spatula, so you can literally brush the super glue. But if you notice, it's soft and it's flexible. So all I do when I finish using it is I just wipe it with a bit of tissue and it takes all the super glue off. But if you do get, like here, I've got stubborn bits on it still. Once it's on here, if you give it a scratch with your nail, it just comes off because these are actually, I think it's like some type of Teflon or something or weird. Yeah, it's called the Mr. Glue applicator. And it's Cressos. Yeah, just as a same. I thought there was three in the set. Let me find two.
Yeah, there is.
Lost one. Have you got a set? Have you seen?
Yeah, the pointy one were crap. The others are good for applying. What do you call it? Perfect plastic putty.
Oh yes, that's a mouthful.
Really, really good for that.
Yeah.
I just stick to me. If it's super glue, yeah, old airbrush needle. Can't go wrong with it.
Yeah.
Because you've got two ends that you can use. And it just, again, that just, you know, you can just scratch it off.
I think also the big thing is that these are the products, and you think, oh, that seems a good idea, and then when you've got them, you actually think, yeah, but you're reinventing the wheel, because as I say, if you use a needle or an old airbrush needle, you know, you can just use it exactly the same way. I'd say this thing is more handy for putting putty on because it's soft and you can just literally rub it in. And it gets in all the nooks and crannies and everything else like that. It's quite handy for that. I must admit, I don't use them. I haven't used them since I think the day I tried them. I don't think they're that good a job. This guy, I tended to find it used to bubble up, but not bubble up on the end like a needle does. If you use an old airbrush needle, it goes to the end and you've got more control over it. This tends to be all or nothing. You get it and then all of a sudden loads of it come out and everything else. So it's almost like, yeah, you've invented something that doesn't really need inventing. And the other thing as well, if you've got a needle, you can just heat it up and burn the super glue off. With this you can't because you melt it. You know, and everything else. So again, it's lived in my pot, and I don't think I've really used it since then. So in some ways, Rodders, I would not steer clear of it because obviously you bought it, but as you use it, that's how you'd use it. But it is like one of those products that isn't, you know, really totally necessary, shall we say?
Yeah. The good thing about an old airbrush needle is because it's really long, you can get into right fiddly areas. They're just brilliant.
Yeah. No, I must admit, I prefer using the needle method than anything else. Okay, right. Alright, so we've just had one more thing come just in here with Chris, has just sent me a question in my box. He says, "Hi Phil and Steve, I am currently building the 1/12 scale Tamiya Kawasaki Ninja, but it is one of my entries into the Big in Japan group build. I'm using the MIPA 75 lacquer to do the gloss work. I used 50% thinners as the base coat before decaling. I used this and, the 50% thinners. I was trying to work, so far so good. I intend to coat the decals with the same procedure, but the decals wrinkled and bubbled up, ruined the decals almost immediately after applying the gloss. I've sent you a picture, maybe you can shed some light on it." Ooh.
Why are you looking? It's in your questions.
Yeah, it's in my questions. Hold on, I can probably show the audience if I'm clever. Hold on. If I just go to here, I'll try and bring this up so other people can see it.
Ask Phil questions.
Questions for everyone. Am I the one at the top still? I think so. There it is. Okay, so, and I can obviously zoom mine in, which is quite handy on here. The only thing I'm looking at, it does look like it's wrinkled up, but if you try to gloss over it, because it doesn't look very glossy. Trust me, when I gloss, everything's like wet and soggy.
Don't look good though, does it?
No, it doesn't look good. The only thing
has to be said.
Yeah, it's not looking brilliant, but don't panic, everyone. Right, a couple of things is, firstly, I tended to gloss over it with the same gloss process, but the decals are up. The only thing I can assume is that maybe have you tried to gloss, you've put the nipper on, and because it's 2-pack, I take it you are using 2-pack. That's my first thing, because you're saying about with thinners, have you actually done the the same type of mix? Because I've got it handy. Oh, that's all right. So I had to just coming back in my leg. I'll be jumping around in a minute. This is the activator here, the hardener. So obviously it's 2 to 1, isn't it? I think it's 2 parts, if I remember rightly, gloss to 1 part hardener. And then I used another part thinners. So are you using the hardener as well, or are you just using the gloss? Because the trouble is, if you haven't got the hardener in, the gloss will never ever go off. It will just stay tacky soft forevermore. So that is only my worry at the moment. You haven't actually got the hardener as well, because it is 2-pack. So this stuff here, here it is. This is the actual stuff itself. But as you say, it's pretty much useless without the hardener, because it just won't go off. So if you're just thinning it, and maybe it's reacting with your thinners and the lacquer on top, and it's sort of gone a bit soft and soggy underneath. So I'm taking it you've got the hardener as well. Otherwise, literally, it will stay soft and gooey forever. I don't know if that stuff even goes off if it can air dry, because normally it's a chemical reaction that lets them go off. So that may be it, because to be honest, mine was rock hard, like glass, and then I just decaled onto it, which nothing, I didn't even use a soft note, decal went straight on, squashed the water out, and because it's like glass, it was perfect, and then I re-lacquered over the entire thing to do my bike, and that's how I did it. And I used it for the same purpose when I did the decals for the airliner, so I can't see how that's physically happened, unless the actual gloss hadn't gone off, and perhaps something's attacking inside. The other thing is just leave it, forget about it. So I'm trying to stretch my leg. It's just to literally leave it and see what happens. See if it self-levels, and if it rights itself, and if it does, get in there with the lacquers and maybe do it. But sorry about that, Chris, because I say it's not looking good. But it may be one of those things that you can actually lacquer over the top of it, and it will give a glass look, and nobody will notice it anyway. Because the only thing is, you said that you're using the Nipper 75 lacquer and using it 50% with thinners, but you haven't mentioned putting the hardener into it, so that could be it, because as I say, it just goes rock hard. The stuff is literally like glass, like the airliner up there is like bulletproof. It's really good stuff for doing gloss work, but as I say, you will need the hardener down in there. So let us know, come back with further ones on that. Right, have we got any more questions? Because I'm running out of battery.
I think there is a couple over back on the...
Right, okay, let's just pop back. No, that's the other one. We'll do that one. It's alright, it's just me sciatica's coming back. Normally I can edit this bit out where I start hopping around the studio like an idiot.
Having a jump back problem. Yeah. John Buller. He put post 18.
Yeah.
Out there. John being awkward.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
See, look, I went out to lunch with him yesterday. He was such a nice man yesterday. Right, okay. John says 18. Not having a jump out problem here in Canada. It just did it again. Okay, okay. Forget the A10s. I'm starting a rival buddy build with a Trumpeter SU25. We'll have to get one first. With all the aftermarket, there must be some guys in the forum who were into their Russian stuff. He is, isn't he? He's a little bugger. He wants to start a rival one with a frog foot. Right, okay, so.
Unless we call it, I don't know, a ground attack aircraft.
Mud move, no, because everything's mud move. It's CAS, isn't it?
Yeah, so but then you're getting.
And then I'm gonna have people then saying, "Oh, I've got a Sky Raider."
Tank busters.
Yeah, tank busters. Yeah.
But no, we'll stick to it. Oh, we'll do the A10V frog foot then.
Yeah, yeah, we could do that, I suppose. See, look, he's ruined it now.
Yeah,
I see it. I'll get him. Okay, Chris says, group build idea. I'm a spy. Could recover a range of genres, anything related to spying on the other side. Yeah, different. Definitely. Calvin says, not a question, but a really big thank you for your great site. I was resigned to not being able to go to Telford as it's a nightmare from over here in Norfolk. Hey look, we make it all the way from South Devon. Norfolk, you're alright, cutting across. I don't drive, but one post on your forum and within a day I've had an offer of a lift and now I can't wait to meet you guys there. Yeah. I recommend to anyone who thinks they can't get there, can't get there or don't want to go alone, just pop up on the post and the guys are really friendly here. Yeah, that's what we're all about.
Yeah, he put one up and to save having others, I changed the title and it's something like Travel to Telford.
So you changed it to Will Someone Help Wendy?
So basically it's for if anyone's going to Telford, if they need a lift to get there, or if you're able to offer somebody a lift, your area, just go post in there and it's like a big notice board and hopefully then we can get everybody to Telford.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah,
and then you'll meet people from your local area and, you know, form friendships. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah. So, you know, that's the point. You know, as you say, if you can help somebody out, share the fuel costs, have a chat and a laugh en route and all the rest of it, get murdered, I don't know.
Yeah, you never know, do you?
You never know. And, you know, all the psychos and nut jobs and everything will be there. So, no, it'll all be good. But as I say, we're going to be doing the meetup 2 o'clock each day at Telford. So obviously we'll be doing one at 2 o'clock on the Saturday and 2 o'clock on the Sunday as well. So if you want to come along, we'll get the old photo going and do a video and all the bits and pieces. I'm going to be vlogging it like I normally do as well. So I'm going to be out and about and with the cameras and doing our bit.
Can you hear someone revving their engines?
No, you're right, I can't hear that.
I bet I know who it is.
Mind you, I've got a massive fan next to me oscillating, to keep swinging around, getting blown away.
But are we still doing our bargain hunt?
Yes, we are. So we're going to have a set budget and a 1 hour. So you can go running around with somebody with a camera videoing you doing it. I'll run around with somebody else with a camera.
We need a subject though, don't we? Well, it's for a Saturday build, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah. So I know what you're going to do. You're going to go around saying, "Hi, we're Flory Models. We're going to do a Saturday build," and I promised.
No, I'm not. I'm got no.
You're going to sell out, aren't you? He'll come back with like one of those HPH kits.
Yeah, for a £5.
For a £5. Yeah, I got this one for a £5. That's all they wanted.
Yeah. If only.
Definitely.
But yeah,
Right.
that's good fun.
It will be a good laugh. Yes, we'll definitely do that. Righto, guys, we're going to have to go because my leg is absolutely killing me now. So I'm going to start jumping around shortly and everything else like that. So thank you very much for joining us. We're going to get the vlogging going again tomorrow. I'm going to carry on now working with the actual tank and making our way through this build. I must admit, it's coming together very, very nicely. I want to get this thing, if I can, put together this week. I'm going to be full day on it tomorrow, and then obviously end of the week I've got a load of reviews for you guys, but I really want to get this one forward and push through. So hopefully tomorrow night we'll have a load of build video up for you about this one, going right the way through, and then next week on Monday we'll carry on with the 190. You'll get more videos on that one as well as we make our way through, and then I can then be pushing nicely on with the Gundam one I'm going to be doing, and then the F1 for over a couple of weeks, and then we'll be grabbing stuff out of the stash really, and then it's into everything. Be a free-for-all of builds. So yes. So the next live show properly will be next Tuesday. I mean, obviously it's Tuesday night because it's our monthly bum fest really of everything. And don't forget, be on that one because we're going to be drawing the winner for my box of everything, which is steadily growing with various bits and pieces. I'll talk about it on tomorrow's vlog, but there's a couple more colour sets gone in there, a couple more bits and pieces, tools and whatnot, which I've got dupes of, so that's down in there. So that's turning into a fantastic price for this month. So all you've got to do is been registered to the main site within the last 30 days. And apologies for people who had trouble logging in over the weekend. I've spoken to the forum, not the forum, but the main site people, our host company and everything else like that, and they've assured me it's supposedly fixed now. Do you want to come and say hello? Come on, people want to see you because you're here and it's getting near dinner time, even though you're like, 45 minutes early, but you like to tell me what's going on, don't you? So yes, and you just like to be on camera a lot. You say hello to everyone? Yes, little Missy. As we can see, the fur all's grown back now. She's all right now. She's black again, so you can't see her against me. I have to wear a white t-shirt.
Well, my nephew made an appearance on Saturday.
Yes.
After the show, we ordered some of the Snap Tie Revel Star Wars kits from the build.
Oh, right.
So
Yeah.
it's,
So it's wearing off, you see. So
yeah, it's really looking forward to building them.
very good.
So they're on the way, so that'd be nice.
Yeah, definitely. Be good, wouldn't it? Right, get off. I'll sort you out in a minute. Yes, I will. No. Oh, you're such a creep. Yes, all right. She only does this because it's getting near dinner time, but you're literally like, minimum of half an hour early, aren't you? Yes, you are. You're a little time waster. Right, that's it from us, guys. Thank you for joining us. Join us next Tuesday night for the actual Tuesday night live show. I'm sure the guys will be round. We'll have some laughs and some giggles, and we're going to give away that great prize. Steve will be with us. And hopefully now we've got rid of our gremlins of, computer issues and sound problems and lagging and all of those things. And you haven't had a single lockup today, have you?
No, it's been perfect today.
Yeah, it's been perfect. So yeah, we're all good like that. See? Just my sciatica now, it's driving me mad. Right, okay then guys, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you in, a week's time. We'll see you on Tuesday night, 7 PM till whenever we finish, usual things like that. So until then everybody, happy modelling, take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Hold on, I've lost my mouse. See, look, we're almost good at this.
A-10.